5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunk. There's that sound that everybody knows. Thunk. Like if you play that sound, people know that's an arrow, right?
Yep.
Thunk. It may be a throwing knife. Thunk. But you know it as an arrow.
Dang right we do.
Dang right. That's an Iowa boy right there. That's some Midwest coming out of you. Sometimes I hear you on your podcast, and I'm like, man, he is so Midwest. It's hilarious.
Sorry about that.
Don't apologize. It's awesome.
I'm actually more of a half-breed. I'm a
little bit of South, right?
Yeah. I was a redneck for a while, and then became a Yankee. The people up north don't give a shit what people think north or south, but the people from the South, my family, they're like, you're part Yankee now.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's so weird.
They lost. That's why. They lost that Civil War thing. Can you imagine? I mean, we're several generations removed, but imagine growing up in like the late 1800s when it just happened, and you're dealing with Yankees. There must have been a lot of murders, right? Or people killed Northerners, and Northerners killed Southerners, and must have been a lot of that.
It was ruthless, I'm sure.
Ugh. How the fuck did that happen? That is a crazy time. If you think about the history of this country, that just 200 years ago, we were in, less. We were in the middle of a bitter war from the North versus the South. Americans fighting Americans to the death. Big fields full of dead people. My dad was at one of the fields. I forget which field it was. But he said, it's one of those memorial places in the South. And he said the feeling...
Gettysburg or something?
Yeah, you know what? It was Gettysburg. And he said, you feel it. He's like, you feel sadness there.
Yeah.
It's like, I know it sounds crazy. And he was saying, I don't even believe in that stuff. But you feel it. Like, you're there. You're like, oh.
Yeah, we've been in a few memorials. And a few big, especially like military cemeteries.
Oh.
You just, another one I felt it, like exactly what you're saying. I went to a historic part of Custer where they lost the battle.
Oh, wow.
And I walked the whole hill and everything. You can feel it there.
Wow. What is that? Do you think there's like memory in places?
Hell yeah, there is.
Yeah, it probably is, right?
I mean, think there is.
There's probably an instinctive reason why people don't want to live in a house where someone was murdered.
Yeah, I don't want to live there.
I don't want to live there. There's a house that John Benet Ramsey was killed in Colorado. They can't sell that fucking house. Dude, I lived there 9 years ago, 8 years ago, somewhere like that, 9 years ago, and they were selling it then. They still can't sell it. It's a beautiful house. It's in a really nice neighborhood. Can't sell it. They have to change the name of the street. They changed the name of the street. Still can't sell it. I'm not kidding. They just can't sell it.
Does it have like historical
Everybody's terrified.
Ghost sightings and stuff?
No,
or is it just the killing?
Just the killing and the darkness all behind it. I mean, that was it wasn't just a little girl died, but there's all this darkness. She was sexually active. There was something going, like someone was probably molesting her. Someone in the family or someone else, who knows? They think someone in the family might have killed her. They don't know who it was. It's never been solved. No one's ever been tried. It's dark.
Yeah, I'm not moving there.
Fuck that.
They can keep that house.
Keep that house. I think they should level that thing to the ground and maybe even do something with the ground underneath it. Scoop all that shit out. Put some new dirt in.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like, that might be the only way.
Who are you going to throw that mojo on, though? You got to put that dirt. You got to put that dirt somewhere.
Yeah.
Who's worthy of taking it?
Right. Where would you put that dirt? You'd have to exercise it. You'd have to build like the most awesome park for kids. Like, you'd have to turn that house into something positive.
I don't want to do anything for kids there for sure.
That would be bad taste.
But you could always take that big scoop and kind of put it in a freak party desert or something where people that like ghosts and crap can go out there and play in it or camp on it. Or
nobody likes little kid ghosts. You want like some old man ghost going to tell you secrets.
Have you ever seen a ghost? Do you think you've ever seen a ghost?
No, I do not.
Have you ever experienced something that was like super creepy?
You know what? A couple of my friends at the Comedy Store have claimed to have seen ghosts and claimed to have seen things. And with many of my friends that work there and comics and stuff, we've gone upstairs to the belly room in the dark and just freaked ourselves out and went, and ran out of there, stoned out of our mind. I feel it. We got to go. Or you go into the main room at night and you're like, give me a hug. Hold me. I'm scared. It's a weird place, man. People for sure have been murdered there. It was Bugsy Siegel's nightclub in the the 30s or 40s or some shit. It was Ciro's nightclub.
Yeah, there's definitely some mojo there, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How did we get going down the path of death? I mean, all I did was ride a werewolf. And
that picture's awesome. Go to my Instagram. John Dudley is riding the werewolf. We were trying to figure out, well, the werewolf's, Patrick McGee made that werewolf, and it comes in two pieces. You slide it out. And, Patrick McGee has a new movie out. I should pump his new movie out. If you're into, there it is.
I didn't even see it yet.
Look at that fucking picture, man. Oh, my God. It's hilarious. It's got 5,000 likes already. I put it up 2 minutes ago. That's such an awesome picture.
I know.
But Pat McGee, the guy who made that, just made a movie, a Bigfoot movie. It's called Primal Scream, I think. Isn't that what it's called? It just came out.
Is it a legit one? Or
Like a horror movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Like,
but with a
Bigfoot's
Yeti?
a monster.
Okay.
Killing people.
I'll watch that.
Jacking people in the woods.
I'll watch that.
Yeah, it got good reviews. I hope it's good. I love me a good Bigfoot movie, and there's not a whole lot of them.
I think we would have saw Bigfoot a long time ago.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, but
what would you do if you actually ran across one?
double lung.
Would you
Take the penalty? Double lung, prove a point. No, I would hope I'd have my camera on me, but then people would call me a fucking liar. That would be a bummer. If you really saw Bigfoot, you're like, God damn it, he's real. And everyone's gonna think I'm crazy. Because everybody that I know that believes in Bigfoot, I'm always like, all right. You know,
I think
everybody
even
I know
if
that
you got a
thinks they saw
picture,
it.
yeah, even if you got a picture,
You're done.
No one's gonna believe.
Yeah,
it.
then you're gonna then all the good faith that you've built up by being honest all these years, people are gonna go, fuck that guy. He's full of shit. He faked a Bigfoot sighting, man. Yeah, I wouldn't shoot it. Definitely not. But I think if it was real, I really do believe that if it was real, this is the trailer for Omaha. See, and Pat McGee did this with all special effects like suits and shit and actual makeup and prosthetics and all the stuff that they used in the old movies. Like, he doesn't believe in that CGI shit. I think he's got a point. That CGI shit, it's just too...
It takes away...
It does.
I mean, you look back at some of the movies that scared the hell out of you when you were a kid, and you watch them now and you're like, what? But man, it just seems so much more real. But if you watch something to where you know it's fake, you almost can't picture the fact that it's flesh and blood.
Right.
I mean,
You don't feel it.
Mm-mm.
Like, there's some of those Transformer type movies, they're smashing buildings, you're like, I know this isn't happening. You don't feel it. It doesn't feel like a real explosion, doesn't feel like a real robot, just feels like horse shit.
Yeah, but the Dinobots they're pretty dope.
What's a Dinobot?
It's the dinosaur version.
Is that one of the Transformers?
Yeah.
Oh, you're well schooled.
GoBots and Transformers were the bomb, man, when I was a kid. That and Cabbage Patch Kids. So,
isn't it crazy that Transformers became huge hit movies? It was a dumb toy, right?
Yep.
Was it originally a toy?
Yeah. Transformers, they were cool.
I shouldn't say dumb toy. If anyone's a collector, they're freaking out right now. Dumb to me. How about that?
Yeah, GoBots and Transformers, they were, I mean, up before that, you had, Army Men, Muscle Men. You remember those? Those little pink rubber muscle men? They were all freaking jacked.
You know what I remember? Remember Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah.
You could pull him apart?
Yeah.
They never made a movie out of him, did they?
My boy... What's funny is they did have some of that stuff. There they are.
Little muscle men. There's something that looks really gay about that. They're all pink. And
those were pretty cool.
Just a roundabout guess, how many dudes have stuffed those up their ass?
Oh my God.
Hundreds or thousands? I'd say thousands.
Yeah.
Right? Thousands of people have had those in their ass.
We're going down that road already.
Why not? If you just we could pull out. We could pull back. Think about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Didn't that start off as was that a comic book? It was a comic book.
That was a comic book.
Yeah, it wasn't a toy first.
My boy, he really got into, I don't know what it was, but he had this Peter Pan doll. And I think because he didn't have a brother or sister, he would beat the shit out of this Peter Pan doll. And he wouldn't do it when everyone was there, but, as adults, you kind of, you end up coming around the corner to see if they're okay or whatever. Maybe
Right.
you're downstairs for a while, and I come up there, and, I mean, he's just got his back to the door, just freaking power dropping Peter Pan, just kicking this thing in the face, punching it. I mean, Sharon and I just laughed about it. We're like, he doesn't do it with anyone else, but for whatever reason, Peter Pan is just his little brother, and he just kicks the shit out of that sucker.
Peter Pan's his bitch. What about Robin Hood? Was there Robin Hood toys ever? Did kids ever get a Robin Hood toy?
Yeah, they made a Disney movie of it, so I'm sure it got around,
No, but that was because of the story.
right?
Robin Hood, the Disney movie, was all because of the original
Or
Robin
you
Hood
mean
story.
like physical, like action figures?
Yeah.
Were they popular? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I don't think so. No.
Maybe when that Kevin Costner movie came out, they sold a few, but
I bet they didn't.
I'd say a lot, maybe a few.
I forgot that was a movie. How bad was Kevin Costner's form in that movie? Was it okay? Did you watch it and go, "Ooh, I gotta go"? It's like when I see bad karate movies, I'm like, "Get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here!"
I don't know. Elvis doing karate. I watched that.
Did you watch that video?
I told you. I sent you a text. I'm like, I watched that so long.
Kevin
I mean,
Costner and Christian Slater. I forgot
Oh
he was
my
in that
God.
movie too.
Check out
Wow.
that feather, the feathering on the back of his hair.
Yeah, it was
Remember when the
beautiful.
duck feather was like
Oh, yeah.
kind of the style? You had to
Yeah,
work
the
that in.
feathering the hair, and somehow or another he got his hair feathered while he's in the fucking forest in Nottingham with perfect haircut. They got a super. Look at that! Come on, man. You got a supercuts right down the street. How the fuck did you get that haircut, son?
Did you see that haircut I got the other day at
Oh,
Cost Cutters?
look how they made arrowheads. Is that real? Is
Yeah.
that really how they did it?
Yeah, well, I don't. It looks like he's pouring a full metal one. but-
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah, they would melt it down and pour it in a cast.
That looks like
pound
a-
that thing out.
Like a Rocky Mountain cutthroat or something. Oh, look at this, showing them making the arrows and the bows and shit.
Yep.
Wow.
There he goes, dry firing it.
How did they possibly know? Did they use scales to figure out how much the arrows weighed back then? Look at this guy.
Hell no.
That fucking guy on the right is killing me.
That's about how everyone would shoot with that equipment nowadays.
Morgan Freeman was in this movie?
Was he
What
really?
in the fuck? Beyond the wormhole.
This is hilarious.
This is so dumb. I'm a Kevin Costner fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater. But damn, Kevin Costner's been in some stinkers. Oh, now they're getting better. Look.
Oh yeah.
They
With
learned.
the little
See?
Robin Hood coaching. Watch
Look at him.
this. It wasn't
He actually
bad.
had good
It
release.
wasn't bad.
Oh, he just split another one.
Split it.
Wow.
Oh, look at his skills.
See, people don't understand. Splitting an arrow is fucking stupid.
It's costly.
It's not
Look
wise.
at the skill. Well, at least there was no CGI in this for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at that. He licked the feather before he fired.
Is he trying to curve it around it?
I don't know what he's doing. Why is he looking? He's going to cut the string. Look at this. Oh, the drama's killing me.
Some serious hang
I wasn't sure if it was going to hit. The drama is killing me. That's a slow-ass arrow, right?
Yeah,
Think how many seconds?
3.
I don't know.
Think if you shot that at an axis deer. The axis deer would be like,
Be on the
"Bitch."
other island.
I've never seen anything like those things. John and I hunted axis deer in Hawaii, where they were brought over. I was reading as a gift to the king in the 1800s.
Posted that today, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's probably where I was reading it. I'm pretty sure I knew it already, but I think that's exactly where I was reading it.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything move as fast as those things. Like you could shoot at one that's 40 yards away, and by the time the arrow gets there, it's nowhere near it. It's like, pshong.
Yeah, you need to load those fast twitch muscles in a UFC fighter of today. Oh my god.
It'd just be concussion city. It'd be crazy. I've never seen an animal react to something so quick, but it makes sense that they evolved around tigers.
Tigers and leopards.
What a fucking shit roll of the dice. Imagine being tiger and leopard preferred food. And that's the other thing about axis deer. They are delicious.
Yep.
They're like one of the most delicious animals on the planet.
Yep.
And obviously tigers must know this.
Oh, I bet.
They have to know it.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be a correlation between something that's extra fast and extra delicious. I really think there is.
Well,
Doesn't that
I'm
make
sure-
sense? Not really, right? Because, like,
I don't
who wants
know.
to eat a hummingbird? probably tastes like shit.
I think a lot of it's their diet and how much they're actually having to move around too.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
true.
think things that are running a lot, like full speed, it seems like the meat maybe isn't as tender, but it's hard to say.
That's true. Well, what I found is that Chad Ward method, your friend Whiskey Bent Barbecue. Mm-hmm. He's changed the way I cook meat. I do that reverse sear now, and I use a meat thermometer always. The only time I don't is when I will saute backstrap slices or steak slices in a frying pan, like a cast iron grill. I'll put some butter and some garlic salt and some cracked pepper, and I'll just cook them pretty quick on a really hot skillet. I like cooking like that too.
Yeah.
But when I cook like a roast or something like that, or a thick piece of meat, I always use Chad's method.
Yep.
It's the way to go. Get the internal temperature. I get it to around 120, and then I take it out and just sear the outside in the frying pan and let it sit for 10 minutes. And ooh!
One thing that a lot of people don't realize too, when it comes to cooking a really good roast or steak or anything, is I love having those soft Yeti bags or the smaller cooler, and I'll take the stuff and actually, kind of wrap it just slightly in foil or butcher paper, and then put it in the cooler and let it actually stage in there, and and just stage in that moisture while I'm doing my vegetables, because it takes about 20 minutes to do vegetables. And then take it out right at the very end to do that reverse sear. Normally, when I put it in there, it gives me time to get, a cast iron pan hot enough with the butter to do a reverse sear. So it's like really good for timing, and it really helps break down that protein a little bit, and it just makes it that much more tender.
That's interesting, because I was doing that for a while, but I was doing it after I did the sear. I was taking it right from the grill, and then I was searing it. Like, I'd have the pan ready. I'd sear it right off the grill, and then I'd wrap it in foil and put it in the Yeti.
But then you don't get kind of that crispiness of the sear, which you like.
Right, because it stays moist, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Stage it first, start your veg, and then probably 2 minutes before you feel like you're going to pull your vegetables off, just get that butter going in that cast iron pan, and then do your reverse sear. You can do one side, and then as soon as you flip it, pull your veggies off the grill, and you can go right back to the, that one side you reverse searing, and take it off, and you're serving hot. Everything's totally hot.
Well, that's one thing that I really give credit to Steve Ranella. Steve Ranella really got me interested in wild game cooking. And then Hank Shaw, who he had on his TV show, who's a brilliant chef, and he's got a couple of books out. One of them is Buck Moose, I think, and then he's got another one.
Duck Moose or something?
So I had it sitting here for a while until we moved everything off this table. This table gets so cluttered. I'm always trying to. Everybody's always giving me books, so they're always just sitting here. I just got one. They're always just stacking up. And
I've been meaning to give you this book that I wrote.
Buck Moose: Recipes and Techniques for Cooking Deer, Elk, and Moose by Hank Shaw. It's awesome. It's really good. And Ranella's books are really good too. He's got two of them, hunting and cooking wild game.
I feel so inferior to those guys when it comes to cooking.
Oh yeah.
But I almost like the fact that people really like my cooking, or at least the pictures and what I make. People are really into it, because if they knew that my knowledge of cooking wild game is so limited, it should be hope for anybody to be able to cook that easy, because I'm not those guys.
Right.
I mean, I think if I would love to do that, but I'm as simple as it gets when it comes to grilling stuff.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, there's an art to that simplicity. Like just you describing your method for, like letting it stage and then searing it, and what we learned from Chad when we cooked that wild pig.
Yep.
That was amazing. That was so good. And I think there's something amazing in that simplicity, because a lot of people fuck that simplicity up. Like, that simplicity is a real common one to screw up. People just overdo it or overcook it, or something goes wrong. But Ranella really turned me on to all the various really fascinating dishes. And he had several episodes of his TV show, Meat Eater, that are just dedicated to cooking. And there's not a lot of hunting shows that ever have that. It's always just about hunting, and then the shot of the animal getting shot, and then everybody smiling and high-fiving, and that's it. Roll credits. I mean, it's pretty much 60, 70% of all those hunting shows. And his really stands out, because it's like, hey, this guy is a real chef. I mean, he's an amateur chef, but he's a real chef. He knows a lot about cooking, and he makes these delicious meals, and they're intricate. Like, he makes this really cool elk meatloaf. It was really good.
I've never done anything with Steve. We've passed. We've actually been within the same group of friends talking at times, but we've never actually done something where we had to have a communication, just the two of us. But yeah, he's a fascinating dude.
Very smart guy.
I would love to. Actually, I talked with Remy, and I told Remy, I said, I would love to do just a weekend getaway where we just go backcountry and all you teach, I want to just follow Remy and see some of his, just his natural, like, camping and survival type skills, and then actually do an on the mountain coaching thing with Remy. We were talking about doing a show where I literally retrain his way of shooting while he's retraining my way of backcountry hunting, and literally he's doing his element, I'm doing mine, and we're able to just do it in the middle of nowhere.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fun.
Well, I'm really fascinated by what Remy does, and Tim Barnett, and a bunch of those guys that have really taken up solo backcountry hunting, where they backpack in, and they'll go in 20 miles with a backpack. I mean, obviously, my favorite story is Adam Greentree, that fucking crazy bastard. Our good friend Adam went all the way deep into the mountains of Colorado, and then again, he came out for a bit and went to Idaho, right?
Yep.
And that's when he had all the grizzly encounters. But 28 days just living out of a backpack and putting his camp on its back most of the nights, just carrying it around and just living literally off your back. And there's an art to that. And Remy doesn't just do that, but he also solo films everything, which is incredible.
Well, I don't solo backcountry hunt, but I definitely have. Really, most of my TV show experience has all been from self-filming. I mean, I've been doing it 20-something years. A lot of what you saw from me was all self-filmed, which a lot of people don't appreciate how tough that really is until.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is hard. It's hard enough to hunt and be successful, but to film it is like a whole new level.
Yeah, just to bring the cameras around with you, and like with Remy, like if you watch his show, Solo Hunter, or Tim Burnett, the other guy that's on that show, they're always like holding a tripod, running up a hill while they're also holding a bow and setting it up and putting the camera in place, and then trying to draw back and trying to get and move the camera because the deer's moving. Like, it's like, oof.
GoPros helped a lot.
I'm just fascinated by the people that choose to go deep into the woods and live by themselves and do it for long periods of time, because it's a very interesting and solitary pursuit. Like when you're out there, there's no TV, there's no phones, there's just you only, and a backpack and a little tent, maybe a bivvy. You're sleeping under the stars, and then you get up in the morning and do it all over again. And some of these guys do it for like 20, 30 days at a time. It's crazy.
It's hard for me to, I don't actually like to post. Even if I'm out camping on a hunt, I actually don't post when I'm doing that, just because of those guys. Out of respect for those guys, it's
who really do it.
I mean, honestly, I understand what they're doing, and I don't. It's no different than, there's people that post photos shooting archery when I look back and see how long they've really done it. And, they build up a persona, but there's also guys that have done it twice as long as me, but there's guys like me that have done, possibly millions of arrows. So it's hard to see people like make pretend to be that.
Right.
And I feel like I'm that guy. If I post a picture of me out in the backcountry in a bivvy, it's not the same as seeing Adam post a picture in a bivvy, or Remy or Ranella.
We should explain a bivvy to people who don't know what it is. It's like a combination tent sleeping bag.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like as
literally
minimalist
something you
as you get.
Yeah, you can stuff it in your bag, go out, and you're more or less hunting.
Just lay it on the ground.
Sleeping
That's
on
where
the
you
ground. You got some little bit of cover.
Yeah. Sometimes
And-
people bring pads. Sometimes the hardcore dudes don't even bring pads. There you go. Oh, that guy's shooting out
God
one.
dang.
That's wake up. That's wake up and I hear an elk.
Wake and bake right there.
Boom. Breakfast is served.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
just-
crazy. He's all got camo on the bivvy too.
Can you appreciate that though?
Oh, yeah.
I feel that way. It's not just in the hunting world. It's like that with a lot of things.
Well, you know why? If
I
don't wanna-
have I have trouble posting pictures working out.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like I make sure people that are following me and trying to maybe be motivated by what my daily routine is, I like them to see that I'm going and things like that, but to actually post that I'm doing it because I do it to stay healthy. It's not my life.
Right.
And archery is my life, so that's why sometimes it gets hard for me when people are pretending to do that.
Right.
Or, and I guess I don't have a problem with people doing it, but I don't want
Well,
to.
you want them to do it, but
Yeah,
you
I don't
even
wanna
be
mi-
enthusiastic about it. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're just
I'm trying to show respect for the people that are literally putting in the grind for those specific things, the same as what I have done with my life for archery.
Right.
And
I know
that's,
what you're
that's
saying.
all I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's like, well, I don't know. I have a different attitude about that with stand-up comedy. Because I really, really like when new people get into stand-up comedy. And that's contrary to like how a lot of professionals feel. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. She's very funny, and she was telling me that her uncle was thinking about getting into comedy, and she was like, oh God, no, But when people ask me, like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing comedy, I'm like, you could do it.
Yep.
Anybody could do it. Just figure it out. It's just like everything else. It's like jujitsu or martial arts, like fill in the blank. It's anything else. It's like music. You learn the chords. You figure out how to play. You can do it. You might not be able to do it, but that might be on you.
Yep.
I mean, like whether or not, like I think if you're a rational person and you think and you like comedy and people laugh at you, like you say funny shit sometimes, you could be a stand-up. Will you? Will you do it? I don't know. People think it's a lot easier than it is. They don't really know. They don't see. There's no way you could. You think about all the hours, all the time, all the different sets. But I like it when people get into it. So if some new kid has only been doing comedy for 3 weeks, throws a bunch of pictures on his Instagram page about going to an open mic night, I'm happy. Like, go get it, kid. You know?
Well, I mean, especially when it comes to art form, there's kind of a line there because when it comes to competition, I'm very, very active in getting people involved with trying to compete because I always felt like even as a coach, when I helped people that were maybe not up to the rank that I was, I felt like once I felt the pressure of them pushing on my heels, it always elevated my game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I've got friends that are within different fields that I'm in, and they actually have came to me and said, hey, we want to show you exactly how we're doing this. And in a way, I'm a competitor because I'm in the outdoor business. But there's been a few times where some of my friends have said, the reason we're telling you exactly how we do it is because we know that you're going to do it different, but maybe a little bit better. And some of them have said, we're stale right now. We know we're stale. We need to push, and we need someone to like push past us so that our competitive drive will push through.
Well, you know what? You're in the outdoor business, but I'm going to steal a page from my friend Sturgill's book. Not a real book, but what he said the other day. He goes, I'm not really in the music business. I'm in the Sturgill Simpson business. And I was like, damn, that's right. He's right. Because I'm not in show business.
Yep.
I'm in the Joe Rogan business,
Yep.
100%. Like, I mean, I'm in show business in terms of like, I guess I work for the UFC. That's show business. I show up at the Comedy Store. That's show business. But that's my gym.
Yep.
That's where I'm practicing to be in the Joe Rogan business. And you're in the John Dudley business, I mean, what I was saying before, I wanted to let you continue your thought, but what I wanted to say was you feel that way because you're a legit guy. Because, like, what you've done, like, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of people in the archery world, and there's a lot of people in the bow hunting world that talk about bow hunting, and they're really into archery. But your background as a competitive archer is just insane. I mean, you really, like, most people don't even know. Like, you really did it all over the world. I mean, you competed internationally. You flew millions of miles. I mean, you did the whole deal. And it's something that you because of the fact that you put so much effort and so much hard work into it, and you're solidified as completely 100% legit, you're very sensitive to things that you're not legit in. So that's why you're a very authentic person. Like when you're thinking about like all the running, like when I post pictures of running, I often think like, yeah, I'm running, but I don't even have like a real job. Cam Haynes is out there running 25 miles a day, that fucking crazy asshole, and he's one of my best friends. It's like I can't really think that I'm really running. I mean, I know I'm doing it, but it's bitch ass running.
I didn't want to use that example, but
it's a good example.
That is the perfect example because
yeah,
I don't post pictures of me. Yesterday I actually did arm day. I'm not like arm day all the time, but yesterday was. Let me have some of that Alpha Brain. Yesterday was a legitimate arm day, and I thought, Cam's already posted an arm day, and he does it every day. So
yeah, I don't know how he doesn't get tendonitis. Oh no, because
he's
getting
balanced,
over this,
dude.
I don't know
why doesn't he have tendonitis in his legs.
That's true.
He runs it. You and I talked about. I've shot a right-handed bow I shouldn't say my entire life. When I hurt my shoulder, I had to shoot a left-handed bow, but for the most part, I've shot a right-handed bow my whole life. So my left pec is bigger than my right. Mm-hmm. My left delt, my left tricep, and then on my right side, my right trap, the way my whole right side sits, and my bicep are also from pulling a bow my entire life. And you and I talked about, if you really wanted to balance yourself and stay symmetrical, you almost need to shoot left-handed as much as you shoot right-handed.
Yeah, well, that's the key with martial arts.
But in a way, I mean, that is what Cam's doing. He's running, right? It's all lower body, and then he's literally lifting upper body every day, which is a balance. I mean, people are definitely going to say, well, you can't train upper body every day, but he trains lower body every day. So is it? Like, I've thought that many times.
Well, he's doing low weight, high reps. Not always so low either, by the way. That guy's strong as fuck. Like, you'd be kind of stunned at how strong he is. Like, he came over here, and he picked up my 125-pound dumbbells, and he was doing presses. So he's pressing 250 with dumbbells. And he's a crazy guy. Like, I don't know anybody like him. So
but
like
he's doing low weight, high rep running.
He's doing that, but I'm saying he also lifts 250 with dumbbells, and he only weighs like 175 pounds. I mean, it's pretty crazy shit. He's a fucking.
I lift 175 and I'm 225.
He's a tank. He's a madman. Like I've met a lot of people that have a lot of drive, but he has a very unusual drive. It's real weird.
Have you ever done the math on? Sometimes you shoot. Most of the time you shoot 100 arrows, but I know there's been times where you and I have shot where you've shot, where I know I've shot over 100 arrows and you've shot double that. Because normally when I'm about saying I feel like I had a good practice, you're like, yeah, man, I feel really warmed up right now.
Well, you know where that comes from? It comes from playing pool. When you play pool, this is real. High level competitive pool, and I was never high level. But when I got to be as good as I got, I was always what you would call a B player. It takes a lot to become a B player, but I was always a B player. And there's an A player, and an A player like borders pro, and then there's pro, which is like stratospheric, like Earl Strickland, Efren Reyes, best of the best, top of the food chain. There's just a different level. But when you play pool, as you get better and better, one of the things that you develop like this feel, and the feel really kicks in with me about 8 hours in. So I would be practicing. I'm not joking.
8 hours
Dude,
in?
I had a full-on sickness. Go ahead, pull that. I know you're trying to do it off the mic. How addictive are these goddamn On-It protein bites? Holy shit.
I want stock in these right there. I'm
those
like
are
a
so
junkie
good.
on these freaking
They're
things.
so good. I ate 4 of those this morning, and I told myself I was only going to eat 1. I was just doing some shit around the house before I made breakfast, and my fasted window was up. And so I was like, I can eat now. I was like, I just have 1 of these things. I ate 1. I'm like, I'm definitely having 2. And then I ate 2 because there's 2 in a package. And then I said, fuck that. I'm opening another package. I ate 4 of them. So I ate, 7 grams each? So there's 28 grams of protein I ate inside of 5 minutes.
These are so good.
Prepare from some
I made a
ruthless
post
farts.
the other day. I said, for anyone out there Don't do it. Because if you do it, whatever these are, you're going to go from like, this is the new on it. These are the protein bites, coconut, cashew, and dark chocolate. Actually,
They're good for you.
I didn't have these. Andy Stumpf had these first, and he gave me these out of his backpack. Where were we? Oh, in Oklahoma. We had done quite a bit of a ride on the bikes for the day, and I'm like, I am starving to death right now. And he pulled these out of his backpack, and I just said, dude, how many of those did you bring? And he's like, I don't know why. And I'm like, those are going to be gone. These are dynamite. My problem is, in the morning, I do like to fast in the morning before my workouts.
What's the window you give yourself?
I normally don't eat until about 10:30 or 11 in the morning.
And what time do you eat at night before you go to bed?
7.
Oh, that's good. That's a good window.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm like starving, but I'm not ready to cook yet. Or, normally for my breakfast, I'll normally eat half an avocado to a full avocado with anywhere from like 4 to 6 eggs. And if I have any meat left over from the night before, I'll slice that and have it with. But these things on the way to the gym, if I just feel like I don't have anything in the tank, these have been awesome.
Yeah. They're very low glycemic index, low sugar, and even the protein's not ridiculous. And when it's 7 grams, is that per bite or is that for the whole bar? Read that shit.
According to
what does it say?
most freaking serving samples.
Dude, I was reading something.
Oh my God, it says 1 bite.
Yeah, 1 bite is 7 grams.
Servings per container too.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be 1 bite.
Well, the bite is like the name for it. It's not supposed to be like, how are you going to fit that whole thing in your mouth?
Oh, to me, that's a bite.
Well, they're called protein bites.
Why wouldn't it be 1 square?
Because you already bit out of it. Like you bit out of it again. That's 2 bites. That's ridiculous. It can't be 1 bite. I mean, you could do it if you had to.
If I wasn't on a podcast, I would have done that like nothing.
People get real mad, by the way. They're going to get mad at you for chewing on the mic.
Can't be more annoying than Mel Gibson's freaking pen. I almost shot myself in the face for that freaking thing.
I couldn't say anything to him. He's sitting over here. Dude, Mel Gibson is a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
He was.
But he's fried. There's a circuit that just hit an overload, and there's a black area where it used to be connected to the motherboard.
I don't. Well, you know more than me.
A nice guy.
What's funny is, one of my followers is the Brad of all Brads. He does all.
I heard that guy
videos.
on your podcast. That was a great podcast, by the way.
He made that yesterday, which is kind of hilarious.
John Dudley Death Dart with your face over Mel Gibson. Oh, that's hilarious.
It was funny, but yeah, whatever that pen was, my God,
People can't see that.
That was
they?
terrible.
No. Yeah, well, you know what it was? I just don't think he could just sit and chill. And when Dr. Neil Reardon was discussing all this really heavy-duty scientific stuff in regards to stem cell research and all the different... one of the reasons why he came on, he wanted to come on the podcast. And people are like, why didn't you ask him about his wife? Why didn't you ask him about the... That's not what he was here for. I'm going to be respectful to the guy. I'm a fan of Mel Gibson. He's a nice guy. What he asked is, he said, can I come on the podcast and talk about the stem cell research they're doing in Panama and the treatments that they gave to my dad at 92 years of age. Now he's thriving at almost 100.
It was a great podcast. And I'm a believer in stem cell because you actually introduced me to Dr. Roddy McGee in Las Vegas. Potentially you saved my archery career.
Well, it certainly potentially saved you from surgery.
And surgeries are freaking hit or miss, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I was lucky with my shoulder surgery that I got out of there good. I know a lot of guys that are into their 3rd one for the same type of thing. But literally I got 3 injections the first time and went back for a 2nd round because I think one of my tears didn't take. And literally, I completely avoided surgery because of Dr. McGee.
And we should talk about this because I don't know the exact specifics of what it was called, what the original treatment was called, but the original treatment that you and I both got is no longer baby dust. We were calling it baby dust this past weekend, but it's not available anymore. It's because they believe this is what they're trying to make it legal, but it has to go through a series of there's a whole process that it has to get it passed because they've declared it a drug because you take Is something about umbilical cord stem cells. You take them and convert them, and then that somehow or another, during the process, they believe it's become a drug. Whatever that drug is, I had a full-length tear of my rotator cuff. Now, this is from an MRI. Full-length tear of my rotator cuff. It was painful. It was a real problem. Dr. Roddy McGee in Las Vegas, Nevada, shot whatever that baby dust is in there.
Gave you some.
And the most recent MRI that I got, which is over a year from his original treatment, but I knew that it felt a lot better. But I just haven't got it checked. It's gone.
Funny enough, I was with you both times.
Right.
The first time, which, I mean, I didn't say anything about, but you had been struggling to shoot a lot because, you know, it's wear and tear. I mean, the bottom line is it's wear and tear over life, especially with you and I. We do a lot of active stuff. But for you to go back, and you and I went in together last week, and when he looked at you with this confused face and said, yeah, hey, that new MRI, that tear is healed. That's freaking massive.
It's massive. That's a tear that would have normally absolutely required surgery, or I could have just been in pain with an unstable shoulder. You know, one of the things that I'm realizing is that over the years of essentially being engulfed in martial arts most of my adult life, and even into my teenage years, like at 15, I became a fanatic. Like from then on, martial arts has always been a part of my life. I've done some ruthless shit with my joints. Both of my knees have been reconstructed. I've had some real problems with my neck in the past. Both of my shoulders have caused problems. It's just explosive, crazy shit. Your arms are getting yanked in weird directions.
Bigfoot, windmills.
That stuff. That's the easiest stuff. That's probably what saved me. All that
Holy
Bigfoot windmill.
cow.
I really think that saved me because that's shoulder stability, because that's controlled. You know, all that stuff that I'm doing, that's all strengthening all these muscles around it. And that doesn't bother me. That doesn't give me any pain. What would give me pain is like off-angle punches, like you land on someone's elbow in a weird way, and you feel something go.
I hurt right now even thinking about that.
Yeah, or getting caught in something like Kimura and not tapping. I've done that a bunch of times, like a shithead. You're a meathead, you know. You don't want to tap, like you got to tap, but you don't want. You like, there's got to be a way to get out of this without tapping, and then you get out, but then you can't do chin-ups for like 3 months. That's happened 30 times in my life, like no joke. Like where I didn't tap, and then I was fucked up for a few months, and I would tape everything up and keep rolling.
Well, you hooked me up with Damien in Des Moines for 10th Planet, and yes. I really wanted to do jiu-jitsu classes with him. But I'm so afraid to do it in a class because for me, it's my arms are my career.
Right.
And I mean, it would literally be like turning a light switch off in your room.
My friend Max Eberly, he's a professional pool player. He said the same thing. He was really interested in trying jiu-jitsu, but he was so scared of getting his arm bar, getting locked in an arm bar and fucking his elbow up or his shoulder up, and then he wouldn't be able to play. Well, it's a real legitimate concern.
2 days ago, and I don't even know if I told you this, but Andy texted me. He put me in a group text and need it closer. And
there you go.
Jocko reached out. We were in a group text, and Jocko wants a bow and wants lessons. He wants.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. So
he's gonna have a fucking knife in his teeth. What, full draw?
Yeah, Andy's like, just make something he won't break in half, because he's like, he will break it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, shit, if I've got to have Jocko over, I know we're going to end up working out. Because if he's at my house more than 2 days, I'm not going to skip 2 days of working out. So I thought I better hit the freaking squat rack. Because I'm more of a bike guy. Like most of my leg workouts come from, they come from kettlebells or they come from biking. Because I like to bike or ruck. And I thought,
explain ruck to people.
Rucking is where you just have a full weighted backpack on, essentially, and you're just power walking. You're almost going for an outdoor walk. And the Outdoorsman, which you actually sent to me, thank you, because I kept telling you I want to do, some power. I want to do like pretty much, I want to pretend like I'm packing out elk quarters to prepare for it, and you said, "Dude, you got to check out this pack." And
Yeah,
you
it's
ended
called
up
the Atlas Trainer, and it's available at outdoorsmans.com. Not a sponsor, just nice people that make good stuff. They specialize in optics, really. Most of their business is in selling high-end binoculars to hunters.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they're the optics authority. They're amazing with optics. Like they do a lot of. You ever listen to the Jay Scott Outdoors podcast?
Not
Jay
much.
Scott's got a really good podcast, super specific to hunting. Anybody, I mean, it's not like this podcast, where it's like we'll talk about all kinds of shit and how many dudes have little rubber muscle men up their ass. Jay Scott's not talking about any of that. But what he's had Cody Nelson, who's one of the owners of Outdoorsman's, and they go into like edge-to-edge clarity, high-end details of Swarovski, Zeiss, Vortex, like all these different binos, and they talk about, you know, all the different aspects of like what's the best shit to buy, what's the best shit for this price point, for that price point, and they get like super geeky and in depth with it. But there's no better resource than outdoorsmans.com. Like they have everything. They have all the high end stuff. They have really good deals, but they also have this Atlas Trainer, which is because their whole thing is Western hunting. And see, when I think most people that don't know what hunting is, or they're not in the world, which is me prior to 2012, they think of hunting as fucking Elmer Fudd, some dude with an orange vest on, shooting some poor innocent animal. What Western hunting is, and this is where it gets really weird, it's fitness with mental strength, discipline, and then hunting. There's so much involved in it. You're dealing with mountains, so you have mountaineering, hiking.
It's a tough mutter with a weapon.
It is.
That's what it is.
It's
People
crazy.
don't appreciate that.
I'm trying to get them to.
Yep.
I'm trying to get them to, because I've become
And you are.
more absorbed. Like this backpack shit that we were talking about, like what Remy does on a regular basis.
Yep.
Aaron Snyder, who
Yep.
does an amazing podcast called Kafaru Cast. Kafaru is a real high-end backpack company. They make like real rugged backpacks specifically designed for hunting and for military and tactical and stuff like that. But Aaron Snyder, one of the guy who runs it, is a serious hunter, and he does those crazy 30-day trips, like out in the woods, just living off your back.
Buds, that's woods
Buds.
and bush put together.
Bush and woods. I'm hanging around with Adam Greentree too much. They call it the bush.
I think we've officially killed this angel's wings.
You have too much body.
What?
There's too much mass in you. You can go through too much alcohol. Like I have to think about. You probably weigh like 40 pounds heavier than me, so I have to put it in consideration.
Nope.
How much to take in?
No, you don't. This is great. Podcasts are made by friends and
Alcohol.
yep.
Well, that one
Cat
that we did in
ladies.
Lanai, when it was all of us, you and me and Ben O'Brien and Sam Sohalt and
You're gonna have to get
Shane
that
Dorian.
gentleman's Jack over
I'll
here.
go grab it. You just keep us occupied.
Yep. Remy, Shane Dorian, Ben O'Brien, my wife, Shazzy Fresh, and my boy was there. I think I got everybody.
I think you got everybody. We said Remy, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Shane.
want Gentleman's Jack, or you want to try this McAllen? McAllen's
Brian?
good too.
Little Brian.
Or do you want
McAllen?
to try some local stuff? We got some stuff that I just
Bring
got
the
from
local
Bakersfield.
stuff over here.
That's what I'm
I'll take
saying.
this sucker over. Yeah, I made a note here that was B, and I have no idea what that topic was. We've shifted gears so many times.
This is Bowers whiskey, and this is from Bakersfield. I was just in Bakersfield
Not a
a
sponsor,
couple
by
of
the
weeks
way.
ago. Not a sponsor, but nice
Nope.
folks that left me a nice bottle of whiskey. So
Beautiful bottle.
you know, I didn't know this, but that area, Bakersfield, like that whole area, that's where There Will Be Blood was all about. You ever see that movie with Daniel
Yeah.
Day-Lewis?
I love that movie.
I didn't know that
He
Bakersfield
was
is
amazing in that movie.
beyond, right?
I actually really legitimately like that movie.
Oh, I loved
We're
it.
out of ice, but that's all right.
We can get some more ice.
Good grief.
Get Jeff to hook us up with some ice.
That was at least 20 ounces.
Yeah,
of,
you could die. We're not driving. We're gonna be shooting arrows. Luckily,
Perfect.
there's no one here.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by concrete.
We're surrounded by
awesome concrete, by the way.
How great is that setup? By the way, I have to thank you for hooking me up with those block targets.
Awesome. Only my arms are long enough to reach across this table. Anyone else, you would have came up way short.
Dick against the wall. But these guys that do this hardcore backcountry hunting, it's sort of what we were talking about before. Was sort of there's levels to this, and the way you work out is to stay healthy and to be fit. In comparison to some guy like David Goggins, like some maniac, some Cam Hanes type maniac, right? But there's levels to like everything. Like some guys just want to go out and try to hunt for their meat and, go out and have a weekend hunt in Wisconsin or Colorado, wherever.
Some guys want to put orange on for 7 days and they're totally content with that.
And then there's guys who take it as far as you can go.
Weirdos.
Well, and then the weirdos amongst the weirdos, right? Guys like Adam Greentree lives in the mountain and Facebooks the whole thing and Instagram lives the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a thing, and I think that thing gets clouded up by so much distraction. I think a lot of people don't know what the thing is, so they think of it as being some. Oh, look at that, a little ice.
Ooh. Freaking ice in the JRE. Is that a Yeti ice bucket? I'll be darned.
Is it? No, it's a regular ice bucket. Does Yeti have an ice bucket?
Ben, we need an ice bucket.
Oh, for everybody who wanted one of these JRE Yeti
out.
tumblers, they're gone. They were gone in 20 minutes. I underestimated.
Sounds like my releases.
Yeah, I only ordered 300 of them. But we're ordering 2,000 now. So I fucked up. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. We'll get them as quick as we can. Hopefully Yeti. If you just find Ben O'Brien on Instagram and yell at him. Don't do that.
Poor guy.
Don't do that. Cheers.
Thanks for having me out.
My pleasure, brother.
We're prepping.
People hate that sound. They hate the sound of slurping. They hate the sound of chewing. I get it. You're on the treadmill right now. You're thinking about quitting. And you hear someone chewing, slurping. You're like, fuck this podcast, man. Fuck this.
Well, I got off subject, but what I was talking about, I was going to do some squats just because I felt
Get ready for Jocko?
Yeah. At least need to do 135 once. But remember the other day when I was in Roddy's and he was bending me all around, checking my arm? Mm-hmm. When I hold a squat bar, that is what gives me my pain right now.
Do you get massaged often?
I normally get it about 4 times a year. I have a guy that I go all the way to Oklahoma for. It's about 600 miles, but his name is Lester Phillips.
Do you fly or do you drive?
I drive down there.
Jesus.
Yeah, his name's Lester Phillips. And
you drive 12 hours to get a massage?
Yep. He's actually at a fitness building called Body Masters, but he is amazing at breaking apart scar tissue and literally getting into areas that most people don't take the time for. And I normally go for 2 hours just for one joint.
Jesus Christ.
But if you're
Are you sober this whole time?
Yeah. But if you're doing something, well, it's arguable. But it depends. If you're doing something that's very repetitive in your sport, then those particular areas build, it's just like a lot of times he tells me that my bicep and my forearm connector on my right side are a lot like what a fighter's are. That's a right hand prominent where they're having impact.
Yeah.
And the same with my left, because as you're shooting, it's just constant hyperextension. Mm-hmm. So you build that scarring in there, and when the scarring isn't, it's restricting the muscle from moving properly. He talks to me like, he said if you have long hair and you get out of the shower, it's not all, the fibers aren't going the same direction. You have to get all the knots and stuff out of there. So essentially he's trying to break up those areas where the muscles aren't flowing back and forth smoothly. So even though I don't have necessarily a tear, I feel soreness at times. I would say maybe even a chronic soreness, but if I go and actually have that broken apart, it's extremely painful to do, but my performance afterwards is just night and day different.
Yeah, I think you should do it a lot. I really do, and I'm.
It's hard to
guilty of
find
this
the
myself.
good person, though.
It is.
That's the problem. That's
It
why
is.
I go so far, is to find someone that really, really knows what they're doing.
Do you have a Thai massage place in your town? No,
I don't know. I mean,
Iowa. There's
yeah.
no Thais make it up to
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them around here, man, and they're not very expensive, but amazing. Like I have this lady that walks on my back. She's probably about 60 years old. She walks about on my back, and grabs my wrists and pulls them up, and pops my back. It's like yikes, yikes. But she stretches you out, man. It's like part of the thing is massage, and then once she gets in that tissue and loosens it up, then she starts pulling on your arms and stretching you out. Thai massage is legit. It's really
your
good.
shoulders jacked
No,
up.
that's what helps it.
Some lady trying to rip your arms out of the socket.
Yeah, I'd be fucked without her. It'd be fucked without a lot of different things, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
But this stem cell research that they're involved in right now, what they're doing right now in Panama, because it's not legal in the United States.
That was a good podcast.
Passed. Yeah, it was amazing, right? That guy, Dr. Neil Reardon.
He's very good.
He's amazing. They just passed a significant hurdle in Texas.
Yep.
So they're real close to being able to do that in Texas. And it might happen as soon as the fall. So somewhere around archery season, you might be able to go. You might be able to go to Texas and get all the same stuff that we're going to get in Panama, which you should do. Man, if anybody listens to that podcast or anybody's talk to someone like me who has benefited tremendously from it, and I haven't even gone and done what he's doing, which is complete next level in Panama.
Yeah.
But I know T.J. Dillashaw, UFC bantamweight champion, he's gone there twice now. Mm-hmm. Fucking had massive, massive recovery from it. It's amazing. We're in an incredible time when it comes to medical science and technology and innovation. Like what they're able to do and fix and heal people, that have had really significant injuries that would have been a giant problem before. I have a friend of mine, she works at the UFC, my friend Heather. She had a Achilles tendon injury.
From Roddy.
Yes.
He did the surgery.
Yes. And she's 6 weeks later walking around without a limp. Mm-hmm. Dude, she told me that it would be 6 months where she would be in a cast if it wasn't for this new stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy. She's walking around without a limp.
Remember when you were in there and I was, Roddy came in and he had told you about the MRI and said, it really looks like everything has grown back together.
Yeah.
Like it's healed.
Yeah.
And I just said, that's some Tron shit right there, dude. I mean, that's like to be able to reconstruct something without having to go under the knife. For me, I went under the knife with my shoulder, and I know that the difference in recovery between literally not being able to almost function a part of your body entirely versus them saying take it easy and work your way back into what you want to do. Those are they're like completely different universes.
Right.
Being in a situation where you're, one, you have to take painkillers, which that's not cool. Two, having to have someone that you're dependent on, pack pillows under your arm and keep you steady for 3 days in bed, and you can't freaking move around. Then you got this, big wedge under your arm and you're walking around versus we literally went through the process, get an ultrasound, they find the place to target. You see a syringe literally go in, no different than if you go and get a tetanus shot.
You can see it in the ultrasound. You actually watch it go in.
It goes in, comes out, and then it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, and you literally go home and these things just go to work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really hopeful for the future. We just went into this past weekend. Roddy looked at the MRI, and he was stunned at the fact that my rotator cuff had been completely healed. But I still have some little tears in the labrum area, so we shot some right into the joint. But again, what they're constantly innovating. So now they're using umbilical cord blood. And apparently they're having massive results with umbilical cord blood. And then they're using your blood and the PRP.
That was cool.
It's crazy to watch. The machine.
Yeah, very cool.
It mixes it all up and then it puts it with the stem cells. And it's like, we're living in the future, man.
Because I almost feel like I got gypped. You know what
But
I
I
mean
don't
by
think
that?
you did because it healed you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a hard time carrying a jug of milk with my right arm. And a lot of people found that hard to believe because, you know, my arms aren't small, I don't think, in average, but I had a tough time carrying a jug of milk in a hammer fist position, and then got the MRI, saw a few, you know, actually 3 areas where I just pretty much abused it and tore it apart, and got those 3 injections the first time. 2 of them took. I ended up actually Roddy had me back there for a Fox News thing because I sent him a video of me doing 60-pound curls 3 weeks after the first stem cell injection, and I wasn't even able to carry a jug of milk. And I was doing 60-pound curls for sets.
No pain.
No pain. So I went there and did that. Well, then it ended up slowly coming back where I felt pain in one area of the 3. So I had an injection then. But what I had at that time was what we referred to as baby dust. But now you and my wife Sharon had PRP, which was, you know, really, really cool to see that machine work.
PRP mixed with stem cells.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
it's and actually the very first time I came in, they had us he asked me to do a light workout after, but then the second time I came back, he had me do a workout before.
Yeah, he did that with me as well.
And then injected it, and then we talked about the benefits of like the sauna and what that would do for it.
Yeah.
And then now it's already at a different stage. So I mean, there's no doubt the progression of this is just, it's like anything. It just gets better and better and better and better.
What's interesting about Roddy, too, what's great about Roddy, I should say, rather than interesting, is that Roddy is a student of medical science as well as a practicing physician and surgeon.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so he's constantly up on all the latest stuff. He's not stagnant in any way, shape, or form. He's constantly up on it. So every time I have a conversation with him, he's like, there's some new research coming out of this place that shows this, and he's just constantly on the ball with it. And so the most latest thing was this weekend. I mean, last time I saw him was just a couple months before.
He's definitely on point with his stats.
Yes. Oh, what? Yeah, we can't really mention that on the podcast, but we were. I had some speculation as to activities taking place in Las Vegas, rather, on a daily basis. What they would be. I was like, my real big question was, how many times does a gay guy come in another guy's ass and yell out, "Woo!" in Vegas? How many times is he Ric Flair? And Roddy was correct. Roddy was like, not every day. And I think, well, I think you're right. Everybody else was like, all day, every day. I'm like, what are the odds?
Jamie just came alive.
I was
This, by the way, this was at a very nice dinner. We were at
How good is that steakhouse?
It was very good.
Yeah, the shout
very
out
good.
to Craft Steak at the MGM.
Craft
Phenomenal.
steak was delicious. So
don't play games.
we were having some of the best that Vegas could offer. Meanwhile, Joe got on some subjects that were probably only I don't know, legal to talk about in a comedy situation.
You can talk about it anywhere now. For like the next couple months. And then they'll make that illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas is a great place to get meals. It's like one of the best restaurant places in the country. It really is.
I want shout out to I want to hook up with Gordon Ramsay. You did some videos about hunting and cooking wild game, but you're missing out, man. You got to do it
Is
the
he?
right way. Yeah.
What's wrong? The
No,
hunting he's missing out on?
It was kind of a cheesy rifle hunt with a hog, but I think we can do way better. And one, I think you need to learn bow hunting just because you're missing out if you don't.
Here's the problem. Let me speak for Gordon Ramsay real quick because I met him.
Okay.
I met him briefly and shook his hand.
Let's hear this.
I think I know him very well. I met him for all 14, 15 seconds. He doesn't have the time, man. The guy's like 18 different TV shows. I was watching him yell at some dude who's cooking somewhere. He was yelling, oddly enough, the guy was cooking elk. And Gordon was complaining about the elk. He was complaining about it being tough and it is inedible.
It's a good complaint.
And the guy ate it. He was chewing on it. He said it's tender and delicious. I'm more with the guy. I think Gordon got a little. He's doing a TV show, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be cynical.
He's playing a character.
I don't want to be cynical, but there's a first of all, the guy did step way over the line. He said he was trained by some of the greatest chefs in Europe, and then Gordon Ramsay called him on it, and he said, I never said that. And then they had video, they played back. So the guy's obviously a dildo. And then on top of that, unfortunately, buddy, sometimes in life we're dildo. I've been a dildo more than once.
I thought you said I've been dildoed.
No, I haven't been dildoed, but I have been one. Not that way, not in the actual mechanical sense. Anyway, this guy was trying to explain, that he's not a chef, but then there was video footage of him saying that he was a chef. But the bottom line is, Gordon Ramsay's playing it up, and he's like talking about how terrible the food is and shitting on him. Like, that's his show. His show is about sort of like kitchen nightmares. It's like I show up, and your kitchen has to be a nightmare for kitchen nightmares to work. That's the guy. That's the gentleman. We don't need to play this guy. I don't want to shame this young man and his young man. He's not a young man. Shame this guy. But
His
Gordon shit all
comments
over
are
him.
awesome.
But don't you think this is a lot like a guy who doesn't really know archery talking shit to you? Like, you're Gordon Ramsay, and that guy is a guy who, like, I've been finger shooting my whole life. I don't need a release. I don't use a sight because I shoot instinctive. And you're like, well, you're just not going to be accurate. You're like, oh, I'm accurate. And then he shoots and he misses the target, and you're like, see, I told you. And then, but you're a nice guy. Gordon Ramsay is a professional asshole. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But I mean, when someone fucks up, that guy comes down on you with the hammer of truth.
I love it.
It's brutal to watch.
But
my 7-year-old was so annoyed at me. She's like, why are you still watching this? Because we were in
You
here.
want to hear him chew someone out.
She wanted to roll around on the hoverboards, and I was like, just relax 1 second. I want to see where this goes. Because the guy was like talking about Gordon Ramsay did not know how to cook elk. I'm like, all right. But then I was watching him cook elk. I'm like, I don't think you know how to do it either, buddy.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. He needs to learn.
Yeah.
But here's my argument. You don't have time for archery either.
Yeah, but I'm crazy.
Exactly.
I have a real mental problem.
I need Gordon to get crazy.
He's not going to do it.
Yeah,
he's not
he
the
will.
same. He's not the same guy.
I think
You
he
got to
is.
let archery find the people that. You know what I think? Archery's like a game of Tetris, right?
I
It's
don't know.
all falling in place. You got to figure out where it falls in place. You
My
can't
wife's
force it.
English, so Gordon,
Oh, it's the same thing.
give it a try.
Basically the same thing.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
That's her. I mean, she was completely. She had literally no perspective to hunting before we met. I mean, imagine Sharon and I met on a plane to France. We met again on a plane back from France.
Right.
She was from England. I was from the U.S. I just happened to be routing through Liverpool.
I'm pretty sure we might not have talked about it on the podcast, but I know
think
you
we
have.
did.
I think
Maybe
we did.
not, but
it's a great story.
Yeah, it is a very good story.
Then you met her, and then you're like, damn, why didn't I get her number? And then you met her again.
Hollywood, we need a movie called Love at First Flight. This is it. You can have Nicolas Cage play an archer.
But I'm just going to go out on a limb and
which you did
say
a terrible job with
because
Weatherman.
she is from England does not mean that they're the same thing. That him and her, just like Artie Lang is also from America, and he is not as same as me. We are different. He has way more experience with pharmaceutical drugs and heroin, and I have more experience shooting animals with a bow and arrow. And it will always be such. Yeah, do whatever you want to do in this life, I don't think he needs to go out and hunt with a bow and arrow. One thing is it would require a tremendous learning curve, right? Especially, like, my first experiences were bears over bait, which is a much easier proposition. It's a very controlled situation.
But I think controlled situations are important for any beginner.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Sure. Well,
Right?
sparring. When you teach
Right.
people,
Exactly.
how to fight, one of the first things I suggest always is that they spar an advanced belt. They spar someone who's not going to hurt them.
Well, Mark talked about that at dinner. We
Yes.
talked about a sparring,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you can read it.
Mark and I,
reiterate.
we
have an
I
alpha
actually,
brain.
Yeah. Mark and I actually, I played a video for him that I was really disturbed about. We actually played it yesterday on the podcast.
Did you?
Of this
With
heavy.
Sturgill? I haven't watched it yet.
No, yesterday wasn't Sturgill. Brendan
Oh.
Schaub and Brian Callen. We talked about heavy sparring that there's guys that are hitting each other as hard as they possibly can, and all that is like an ego exercise. You're not getting better. You're hurting each other. You're fucking each other's brains up. And Mark and I were talking about that, like how many guys get turned off to sparring because they spar with someone who just beats the shit out of them in a bad gym, rather than spars with someone who teaches you just to get touched. You just get touched in the face, so you know you got hit. And someone who's fast but has control, and then you learn how to operate without the fear and consequences of like a wild gym brawl, which is like really common. A lot of gyms, they have brawls where it should be just sparring, but instead you're really just fighting all the time. You're fighting constantly. Those people always wind up with brain damage, like almost always. It's a real issue with a lot of low-level gyms or gyms where people haven't really considered the consequences of their actions.
Did you? Yeah, that's mine. Did you play that video that you showed when we were at dinner the other
The
night?
guy getting knocked out?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark was like, "This would never happen
At
ever."
his gym, never happened. Mark's amazing.
I think it's important. I mean,
Yeah.
any type of beginner needs a controlled situation, and you need training wheels. I mean,
Yeah.
it's important.
And there's that feeling, well, this is what I've been preaching forever, is that feeling of not knowing how to do something and trying to figure it out is crucial as a human being. I think where humans stagnate, that feeling makes people feel weird. They don't like being a loser. They don't like being a beginner. They don't like it. But I think that feeling is crucial, because when you get really good at something and you get stagnant and you don't worry about it anymore, there's no growth, there's no movement. There's something about that that's very detrimental to the human psyche. It's very detrimental to your growth and your constant self-examination, which a lot of people don't like, but I think is important. This is why I think it's important. I think it's important for peace of mind, because I think it may bring rocky moments where you don't like what you find and you just feel like, God, can't I just be cool with everything? But I think through that path, those rocky moments, you get to understand yourself in a very pure way versus understanding the projection of who you'd like people to think you are, which is what most people exist in. Most people exist in this world of slippery shoes and shiny fucking cars and ties and wearing the right things and saying the right things. All those things are sort of designed to project an image that's not necessarily you. It's a cheap way of getting people to think greater of you. Whereas the only way that people to really know who you are is see you doing something hard. See you doing something difficult. They don't know who you are if you show up and the cameras start flashing, you're on the red carpet, you're in the perfect suit, you hop out of a limo, you got a gorgeous girl in your arm. They don't know jack shit about that. It looks amazing. I'd like to be that guy. Everybody would, but they don't know a goddamn thing about you. But if they saw you at mile 59 of a 200-mile race and you're shitting yourself over a cactus in the middle of the mountains like Cam Haines, then they would know who you really are. And I think this is also one of the reasons why a guy like you're hesitant
That's my
to
litmus
post.
test.
Yeah,
That's my litmus test.
Yeah.
Is hunting.
Well, it's
I mean,
it's
a hard
shit.
hunt. If I ever really am at a point where I feel like, is this going to be a legitimate friend, or is this going to be someone that I just do business with? Then that's where I test it, is in something tough. Because those people, to me, those people put themselves, you're probably the same. There's maybe 6 or 7 people that I talk to on a daily basis, and then there's like a different tier to that. But that is my litmus test. If people can do those things and really prove themselves, like, at the tough times.
If they can handle it.
Yeah, if they can handle it, those are the people that I want around me. That's the
Those
truth.
people are fuel. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, because when you're ready to be like, God, should I just take a break right now? And they're still going, you're like, I'm not going to let him beat me because he's going to ride me at the end.
Have you ever seen Jocko's video? It's just called Good.
Uh-uh.
You haven't seen it?
Uh-uh.
Play it, Jamie. Find that. It's one of my favorite videos on the internet. There's a lot of videos on the internet. There's a lot of
How
content.
crazy is the
internet.
world that Jocko and I met? We literally passed each other in an airport.
Pretty crazy.
We both had just enough time to take a selfie, and we texted to you. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing. We're going to play it because this is one thing I know that Jocko would never flag us off YouTube.
One of my direct subordinates, one of my guys that worked for me, he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. And finally one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem. And he said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. He said, that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say good. And I said, well, yeah. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it.
Amen.
Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. You learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you.
Come on.
So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage. Go out on the attack.
Come on, son.
God dang.
If that doesn't make you fired
I
up,
hope-
you need to go to a doctor.
Can people hear that on the podcast if they
What?
download it on iTunes?
That? Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll hear that for sure. Yeah, we're playing that. Listen, if you
If
listen
I didn't
to
have
that,
two friends in here, I'd punch someone in the face right now. I want to shoot a broadhead through someone's neck.
I know, that's what Jocko's all about, man. When I run, I literally hear that sometimes when I'm fucking exhausted. When I hit the high hills.
I've never ran to that. If I did, I wouldn't even be here right now. I'd have died of a heart attack somewhere. I'd have freaking had a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, I don't listen to it when I run because I really believe that listening to music when you're running is cheating.
What?
Why?
That's right, because it's easier.
Are you kidding?
Yep, I'm serious. Yeah. Well, I think that when you run, it should be in your mind. You should be
You're such a
with
dick
your
right
thoughts,
now.
with your thoughts alone. And I think that when you run and you listen to music, it's easier. Therefore, it's cheating.
I'm pissed right now.
Both of you guys are mad.
Last time
Both
I'm
of you two homos running with your Walkmans, with your earplugs on.
All right, go 5 miles then.
they're earbuds.
Do you
by
think
the
it's
way.
different? Is
Yeah.
it different to go 2 miles than 5 miles?
I can do 2 miles in 20 minutes. And not
Right,
worry
but can you
about
do
it.
2 miles in the hills?
Sure.
5 miles is
20
probably
minutes?
easier
5
than
miles
2.
is harder. It's just overall. It's
Yeah, it's longer distance.
Running an hour.
No.
Right. So you have to
Really?
listen to music. Britney Spears gets you through the last 3.
Don't have to. It helps with like the mind games of
I'm
getting through
sure.
it all.
I'm sure. But that's
I've
the whole
done it.
idea. It's
Yeah, yeah.
cheating.
I'm pissed.
All right. So I was wearing shoes then.
Yes, you're right. You're right. It is wearing shoes is cheating.
What?
Yeah, you should be
Okay,
barefoot.
here we go.
We were watching a video the other day that Jamie almost made me throw up. It was a dude who was carving off of his calluses with a knife. He had calluses that were so thick. He had a knife out and he was carving the calluses off, and then a dog was eating them.
Well, I don't know about the dog eating them part, but I've definitely carved off calluses.
You never seen calluses like this. I mean, I don't know. This guy looked like he'd been walking
go.
barefoot for several years.
I'm just pissed because last time I was here, you talked about the
Look at
fact
this.
where. Oh God.
What did I talk about last
Do
time?
we have that coin flipped over saying yes, please?
Oh, the Brazilian churrascaria coin. Look at this. Look at this.
No,
fucking,
thank you.
Come on, look at this.
He's flipped it.
Carving off chunks of his callus with a fucking knife, dude. And the dog's gonna eat that.
Of course he will.
Says man cuts calluses off his foot with
That's
knife.
not calluses.
and
That's a
dogs eat
dead
it.
foot. Like Mr. Deeds is on YouTube right
I
now.
think he's moving around though. He's alive. Look at this. 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 Come on, son. He's got a goddamn fillet knife. Should be
Anyone
cutting
who's
open a trout.
anyone who's watching with the podcast, anyone who's listening with the
But here's the
podcast right
thing.
now, please YouTube this.
Look at the dog. Dog's gonna eat it. That's a starving dog.
I like that beagle.
Dog's confused. It's like, am I a meat
He's
eater?
like, is this blue cheese or
Do
is
I eat
this
humans?
is this blue cheese or is this a little trimmed foot?
It's a hard video to get over. I saw that video. I had to take a leak at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I always do this, man. I'm thirsty at night, and I'm like, you shouldn't drink because if you drink, then you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night and you're gonna have to pee. You know that thing. But I'm like, but I'm thirsty. Fuck it. I'll deal with that later. I'm a live in the moment kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
And at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm peeing, and all I'm thinking about when I'm peeing, I'm shaking my head, thinking about that dude chopping calluses off his foot with a goddamn cleaver.
I like that. I think they could serve that with a cheese plate.
That guy probably runs barefoot. Like,
Well,
some
last
serious,
time I was here,
serious calluses.
you talked to me about having kettlebells in random places so that as you walk by them, you can just grab them and do a few sets,
Yeah.
not go to failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you're freaking running with no music because it makes it tougher.
Yeah, I don't want to be a pussy. All
Okay.
those people running with music. You heard me.
People listen to the Rogan podcast right now.
While they're running. Turn it off. Folks, I'm kidding. Jesus Christ. I don't really think
Yeah,
you're a
you're-
pussy. I listen to music all the time when I'm on an elliptical machine, if that makes you feel better.
You told James Hetfield that you listened to his podcast or his new record that morning
I
while
did.
you were working out.
I did. Yeah, I was in the gym lifting.
You're a pussy.
See this? That's what came. It came from Metallica.
Dude, make that mongoose bite.
I like the fact that Metallica's still going hard. I mean, they're like 85 years old.
I went to
They're
their
going
concert
hard.
in Iowa. My buddy Torsten, his wife, Trina, she works for Q Prime, hooked me up on some tickets to the Metallica concert in Iowa,
Damn.
and they freaking rocked.
See, what is
Who's
this?
this
Jim
guy?
Brewer to
What
open for Metallica on the Worldwire tour. Get
Yeah.
rid of the goddamn pop-up, son of a bitch.
I know.
Jim
I was
Brewer.
like, what is this?
Jim Brewer is actually the one who. There he is. Oh, another pop-up. Jesus Christ! Welcome to the world we live in.
Yep, pop it.
People are so greedy. with
This
your
is
pop-ups.
crazy. Yesterday, Sharon was looking because I still have my real wedding ring on. that
Real
I've-
wedding ring? I have mine too.
I know, but have you seen any of those weird videos of people stripping their fingers off on pull-up bars and stuff?
I have a friend who had to get an operation. Not a friend, a dude I know, who had to get an operation because while he was doing jujitsu.
Great, now he knows he's not on the list.
Well, I know him, but I don't know him. I don't have his number.
okay, he's
I
not
feel
a
like if I
friend.
don't have your number or your email, I never emailed him. Anyway, his wedding ring bent and dug into his finger while he was training. Something happened. Imagine how strong like an arm bar has to
I
be,
know.
or the pressure on your joint, whatever the fuck it was. But it dug into his finger so deeply that he had to get it
You're
surgically
talking
removed.
jiu-jitsu bent ring?
Jiu-jitsu.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Oh my God, indeed. What do you got?
It
Got
wasn't
pictures?
from jiu-jitsu, but no, it happened to Jimmy Fallon like 2 years ago.
Horrifying
Wait,
injury that caused ring avulation.
Yeah, don't
His
look 'em
bout
up.
with ring avulation, a finger injury that looks and sounds like something from a horror movie.
Okay, let's see.
So
it.
that was his wedding ring as well?
Yeah,
see
he
it.
ripped the skin off his whole finger, I think.
I'm
Come
down. I'm
on.
down for the tattoo.
Let's
I'll
see
get
this
that.
bone.
I'll get that queer
don't have
wedding
pictures of
tattoo. You know that tattoo that guys get on
I
their
tried
fingers?
to get it, but they talked us out of it. 2 different tattoo places said it was the jinx. Said if you do it, it's like the curse.
That's not true. My friend Big John McCarthy has that shit. He's been married forever, happily married.
Let's give it time.
No.
Sorry, John.
How long can it last? I mean, he's almost dead. Just kidding.
God dang, that's ruthless.
You said
He's
sorry.
super nice.
He's the best.
I've met him.
He's a good
He's
guy.
super nice.
But I'm just
Super,
kidding.
super nice.
But rings are archaic. You know, there's a company that makes a rubber ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what I was talking about.
If I tried to put that shit on my wife, it'd spit in my face.
Here's what's weird. My Sharon was going to buy me that for just because I kept telling her, like, I'm worried about ripping this finger off.
Right.
Mainly because my wedding ring is definitely too small. So she was looking at some of those silicone rings, and we were literally looking at it on her iPad in my kitchen. I opened Instagram and started looking. It's like sponsored ad by that ring company. Isn't that what's weird?
It's very weird. We were just talking about that. We were just talking about that the other day. That
Who's this we stuff? You and
Jamie and whoever was on the podcast. We were talking about like having a conversation, and if you have like Alexa or if you have like certain things that like listen to you while you're talking, like maybe even possibly Siri. And then all of a sudden you'll go to Google and what you were talking about, like slick trick broadheads or some shit like that, will show up in your Google ads. You're like, what in the fuck?
Maybe Siri. Siri's a total freaking. She is a
she's
peeping Tom. She's a
peeping Tom.
two-faced little hoe.
I don't think she's two-faced. I think
Hey Siri,
she doesn't have a single face.
you're a two-faced
You'll need to connect to
bitch.
the internet first.
Oh, you're not connected.
Is that a bad thing though? I know it's weird and it's
Yeah,
giving up
it's
something.
bad. What?
But I mean, it potentially you could view that as something like I would probably want to buy that, and now that it's
No,
here
no.
and an easier way for me to do it, that is kind of good. I'm just going to
Jamie,
play the devil's advocate.
If
on
you
it.
say, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die out here," at that time Siri can step in and say, "Would you like me to call a helicopter?" But when you're looking at rubber rings for your wedding ring,
And then it shows up in your laptop.
yeah. At
There's
that
something weird
point,
about that.
she's a sellout.
There's
Let's
something
get
weird.
to the bottom of this.
Well, it most certainly exists with Google, because I've looked at like, what are we, cheers? I've
'cause
looked at some.
You're milking it over there,
I'm all right.
Sally.
I smoked pot though. You didn't. Oh, you did a little. Shh! Don't tell your sponsors. I might have made that
Let's
last
see.
part up. The problem is like you'll be looking at something
Sally.
super obscure, like a Casio watch.
Sound like Casio.
That's Casio. Yeah.
All right.
It's a good one. I like this one. It's like a ProTech.
It
has
totally
an
doesn't look like it.
altimeter and a compass in it.
Totally doesn't look like it.
It is a Casio. Look, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
See that shit? Very nice. But then all of a sudden it'll show you whatever you searched for, whatever it was, whether it's surfboards or fucking Hildeberg tents. They'll be for sale. You'll see like Amazon.com ads for like what you like. I was looking at Zeiss binos the other day. I read a
Well,
great
you and I
review.
talked about it,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah, but then I read a review on them, and I actually Googled them. But then, like, everywhere I went, if I went online, I would see a little Google ad for Zeiss binos. I'm like, this is kind of creepy.
But that's different. I think if you Google search it, you're on the grid.
You are on
But
the
if
grid.
if you're on someone else's device in your home kitchen, it's
Yeah.
not like I was looking at it on mine.
Right.
I was on Sharon's iPad. Then she was ordering me a ring on her iPad, and we were talking about it. Then I opened my Instagram up, and here's the silicone rings as a sponsored recommendation within my Instagram feed. He's backing up. You got to back it up, back it up. Uh-oh.
I got to think about
I
this.
go back to that. Gmail's free for a reason. These are all free services we're using and not paying for. So you have to give up a little bit to get these cool things.
You have to give up your
I get it.
Your
but
privilege?
Here's my position. Everything I think of is out there. I'm a professional talker. The most fucked up ideas I've ever had have all been recorded.
very true.
100% true. There's no getting around that. Like, I don't
And
have
you
any
do
hiding.
come up with some crazy stuff.
Anybody would. I'm telling you, there's nothing special about me. Anybody would if you didn't have a job and you had enough free time and you weren't worried about paying your bills. You would have and you were in tune with the universe. Anybody would. We all would. There's nothing special about me. Cheers.
Andy,
Powerful
I'm
Andy
missing
Stump.
you.
There's nothing special
how
about
about that freak jumping off cliffs, flying around?
I posted his video today.
I know.
Do you want some of that?
No.
Good for you. I'm glad. Stay away from this. This is the bad drug. This is a drug the government doesn't approve of.
California does.
Jeff Sessions was in town today.
Good grief.
He was telling people
My
to stop letting Mexicans
people
in.
are watching this.
What
That's
people?
actually 5 feet away from me, but it looked like a fog machine in Hollywood right there.
Like some horror movie.
Yeah. Do you know, remember when I talked, have you ever listened to my podcast with Mike Slinkard?
Yes.
With Hex?
Yes. I've listened to every podcast you've ever done.
That's crazy.
Nock On TV.
It's not
Nock On podcast.
Yeah.
No.
Mike actually went to Dr. McGee.
Did he?
Yeah, he couldn't pull his bow for almost a year because he had so many problems in the shoulder, and he was really dreading the surgery because he was worried about his downtime. And I told him, like, man, you need to call Roddy because there's a possibility you don't need the knife. And so he went down there, and he ended up getting an injection, I think in September or October. And then he came hunting with me in November, and we actually shot together. And he goes, this is the first time I've been able to shoot my bow in a long, long time. It's crazy.
Wow. That's amazing. It's just so cool that there's something like that out there for people. And there's a bunch of different versions of it. I know people that have had really good results where some places they take the stem cells out of your fat. They give you a little baby liposuction, pull some fat out, take the stem cells, mix it up, shoot it into joints. People have had real positive results with that.
It's weird that we did it the way we did it with the blood, but then there's also the out of the bone marrow, which is supposed to be more painful.
It's supposed to be more painful, but it's also supposed to be really effective. Daniel Cormier had that done. He had real good results with that. He had that done with a knee injury, and he was concerned. I believe, I don't want to speak out of school, I'm pretty sure it was an MCL. It wasn't the big one. It wasn't the ACL. The ACL is the big one. That's a tough one. 'Cause that's the stabilizer one. That's the one that goes through the center of the knee. I've blown both of those out.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Did you get them both cut on? Or?
Yeah, both of them reconstructed. Yeah, the first one I had done where they take a chunk of your patella tendon with a piece of your kneecap and a piece of your shin, and then they open you up like a trout, and they fucking screw that baby in.
I don't know if I've ever seen the front of your kneecap.
Yeah, you can see it. There's
That's
my
a
left
big
knee.
cut normally. Get those barbell jeans up.
These are barbell jeans.
Mine are too.
Also not a sponsor. You can kind of see
They're
it.
awesome guys.
Well, it's a great product. There's
Check you
a
flexing your
line
calf out.
right there. I'm not flexing. That's just what my calf looks
I
like.
am.
I'm not.
I am.
I have large.
You're flexing that
I'm not.
thing. It's
I'm
as
not
hard
flexing.
as a rock.
I'm not at all. Look.
All right.
See, I'm loosing. I'm very loose.
I'm flexing mine.
So
I want to look cool.
This is great now, but it was in pain for a solid year. Like I couldn't kneel. No kneeling. There was no kneeling going on. If I had to suck dick, I'd be in real trouble. I'd have to lie on the bed, let a dude mount my face. There was no way I'd be able to. That's the alcohol talking. The point is, it was
Yes.
painful. But the other one that I had done, I had it done with
like
a.
taking you to another planet.
I had it done with a cadaver, and that
Oh,
one
you
was
did?
way easier. Yeah, that was way easier, but way weirder, because you're thinking about you got some dead person's parts in your body.
My father, well, I shouldn't say that. Sharon's stepdad has a pig heart, and he's pretty proud of it.
Whoa, he has a pig heart? Like they
Yep.
grew it in a pig?
What?
You mean it's a pig heart? Like it's his?
No, they used a pig valve in his heart.
Oh, okay. They can't do that with a whole heart.
I don't
Just
think
a
so.
Part, but they can do it with parts, right? Pigs
Yeah.
are super similar, apparently. to people with certain organs to the point where they think that there might be a time where we use genetic engineering to manipulate a pig to grow human body parts.
What?
Yeah, they're real close apparently to figuring out a way to combine human. There you go. Scientists grow bullish on pig to human transplants. Jamie just pulled up an article
What's
from Baltimore.
bullish mean?
What is the website?
sciencemag.org.
And this is something that there's apparently enough similarity. This is coming from a dummy, by the way. Settle down. Enough similarity between pigs and humans that we might be able to grow their organs, grow our organs rather inside of them. And so, like, if you needed a new liver or a kidney, or if you needed maybe
Heart
even a
valve.
heart, something, they could possibly grow it inside of this genetically altered pig because they're really close to us. It's
Well,
freaky shit, man.
It's definitely freaky.
It's freaky shit because one of the things that I've gotten more and more adamant about from being around wild animals is that that's really the only way animals should be. I mean, there's one thing like your dog, like Shades.
Yep.
I don't want Shades to be wild. She's a sweetie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
She wouldn't make it.
that's a different thing.
She wouldn't make it
It's
wild.
a different thing. A pet is a different thing. And anybody who thinks it's not a different, that's a family member. My pets are family members. My dog, you know, if I have an interaction with a dog, it's like I love them. It's not the same as the way I feel about a wild thing. A wild thing I want to be wild. I really want them to be wild because I just think that we fucked up. We got real comfortable with this way of raising and treating life outside of our own species.
Even our own, I would
Sure.
argue,
Sure.
right?
And you'd be right.
Yeah,
Even
I
our
think
own.
even our own has been. I think the whole picture is completely different now. People don't get it. I mean, we want our pet dog to be part of our family,
Yeah.
but the reality is, if they were legitimately out there in the wild, they would be dead that
Dead.
quick.
My kids got rabbits. They're useless. They don't give a fuck about these rabbits.
We
This is
talked, we talked about this in Vegas.
They were like, we have to get rabbits. I'm like, okay, we'll get rabbits. They don't give a fuck about those rabbits. They go like a week without even looking at those things. They just don't care. And the rabbits, they chill with the chickens in the chicken coop. So everybody's good. Rabbits are having a good old time.
But
I'll
they're
go out there.
selfish too.
Here's the thing. What a rabbit is a small prey animal that has to adapt to its environment. So if its environment is just them being outside by themselves all the time, why would you expect them to be domesticated? They're basically wild in a cage. You
Yep.
know, they're not constantly getting direct contact with people.
But don't you think some people could be argued the same?
Yeah, for sure. But my
James,
point was though
I haven't let you see this yet.
Okay.
I'll let you finish your point.
There's just such a difference between them and a dog. Like the idea of that a rabbit interacts with you the way a fucking dog does is bananas. You're losing me. If you don't tell me you like dogs more than you like rabbits, I can't talk to you.
Yep.
Because I've got dogs that are like little people. All
Yep.
right. I mean, they're like my friends. Like Marshall's my friend. He's a 1-year-old friend that I have. I have one friend who's 1 year old. I hang with this dude.
And he's
cool.
literally your best friend, and there's like
Dude.
nothing separating you from his best friend.
No,
Nothing.
we're super tight. We're like this.
Yep.
As long as he doesn't steal food off the table, which he will if I'm not looking.
Yeah, but that's your side. To his side,
Yeah.
he's 100% dedicated to you. Even if you stole food from his side, he would still be your best friend the next day.
100%. He just got to know the rules. Can't be stealing food. Can't be climbing on the table. You fucking savage. Like dogs would just jump on the table and you don't realize how. Like, oh, that's where the food is. Why would he jump up there? It's amazing you've been able to stop him from jumping up there the moment he gets in the room. That's what's really amazing.
Here's what's crazy, though. If people had to really go out in the world and defend themselves like our dogs would that are technically family members, There would be a very clear line drawn.
Yes, but they don't, and that's why we're delusional. And then there's movies. Disney movies, Bambi, all that crazy shit, Yogi and Boo Boo.
But
all
what was that rabbit movie? Because when we got on this
Peter
subject,
Rabbit, the most recent one?
no, Sharon brought up that movie that was like the darkest kids movie.
Is it Ted?
No, it was a rabbit movie.
A rabbit movie.
What was the name of it? Look it up, Jamie. It was considered one of the darkest kids movies. It was where it was all about rabbits, and I'm trying to think of what the name of it was.
I don't even know what that is.
There was a YouTube video showing pretty much it was like a highlight reel of that movie, and it was to I think a Marilyn Manson song, and it was crazy. It's pretty dark. I think it was called Bright Eyes, or maybe that was the theme song to the movie. Bright Eyes.
A dark rabbit movie. Dum dum dum.
Seriously, you need to look that up on YouTube.
Imagine getting killed
look up
by a rabbit.
Bright Eyes.
Imagine, fuck Bigfoot. Imagine a 7-foot rabbit that tries to bite your head off with those giant teeth.
I don't know.
be
7-foot
terrified.
rabbit. I don't know if I'd be that terrified.
I'd be terrified.
7-foot grizzly, I'd be way more terrified.
For sure. 7-foot crocodile. Way more terrifying.
Okay, here we go.
7-foot Komodo dragon.
Did you find it?
What is this?
Watership Down, maybe.
Yep, that's it. That's
Oh,
it.
this
Watch
is a
this.
depressing rabbit movie.
It is.
Dude, I remember this.
You need to watch this.
Wow.
Watership
We
Down
can't-
trailer.
If we play it, we'll get yanked off of YouTube. But
Can you play that?
we can't play any clips. Dude, it's crazy today what's
Thought
going
my
on with
bladder
people
would
who
hold up, but it's
own.
not gonna.
It's not. Go ahead. Take a leak. Don't
hey,
worry, man.
Jamie,
Show 'em that.
while we're talking about alligators or crocodiles, you got to see this. This is actually one of the guys
Dancing
that
with Dragons?
Yeah, this is a new short film coming up. This is one of the guys that he documents wildlife.
Look at that mouth on that
And
thing.
he's a hex advocate, but he wasn't a hex advocate first. He was a
Well, let's explain what HEX is.
You
HEX
can
is
explain it, but this is-
HECS rather is it's a company that makes these suits that apparently the idea is that they block an electromagnetic frequency that people emit. Is that am I saying that right?
yeah, you're good. An electromagnetic current that,
There's something
that your body
we
emits.
emit that they think John Dudley has left the room. He has to pee. I don't know. This is the most honest way I can say this. John is a big believer in this hex system, and I don't know if it works, but I know a lot of people think it works. And there is a test that they use where there's a machine. See if you can find. They have a video of it explaining how it works. And in the video, it says it in there. On the website. There's a video link. See the video link? Yeah. See it where it says videos, third from the, yeah, there he is. There's something where they show they can swipe their arm over some sort of a machine that is designed to detect electrical current that comes from your body. And they do it with just a normal arm with like a shirt on, and then they do it with this hex suit on. And the hex suit, it blocks whatever that frequency is. And so the idea is that we're assuming that somehow or another the animals might have some sort of method of detection by way of the actual electrical energy that's come from a person. Do I know if that's correct? I do not. I do not know if that's correct. It's fascinating to think of, though, because I wonder how many different animals have this interesting sort of ability to detect things other than just smelling and seeing. Like maybe there's a feel. Maybe they have a feel. And apparently these things are particularly effective with predators, which kind of makes sense, I guess, that predators would feel the electrical frequency that's coming from a nervous, scared animal or something that's trying to run from it. And these things are really effective, apparently, with coyotes. And this documentary, or this little short film, rather, Dancing with Dragons. Perfect timing. I just explained hex to a T. I'm a wizard without knowing shit. Barely got through high school. This
Watch
is
this.
So apparently this signal, whatever the human signal is, I mean, that the fact that they can detect it in this machine, and I've watched that detection, it's real, it's legitimate. So something's happening that the machine detects. I think we would be foolhardy to believe that animals can't detect that as well. Now, does that mean that it will work on everything?
I'm
No.
a believer.
I'm a believer too, but this is what I think. I think there's so many factors when it comes to getting close to an animal. I think they have so many senses. I think they can smell in some insane way that we can't even imagine. They can hear shit we can never hear. They're just tuned in. The idea that that would be it, that they wouldn't have some other shit that we haven't really thought of.
This would be a good guess for you. His name is Forrest Galente. He's actually he's got some really cool stuff coming up that I'm not able to talk about, but I know you
Will
enough
you tell me
to
when the thing's over?
Yes. I know you enough to know that it's in your wheelhouse. But this is all 100% wild. I don't want to say it wrong, but I think it's at a certain place down south
Can
of
we
Mexico.
actually show this to the people on YouTube?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
So this
He
dude is
just had
wearing
a
a hex suit.
documentary that came out. He's in a hex suit that actually has a pattern that resembles the saltwater crocodiles.
whoa.
Did you notice that part?
I did. But I only did once you brought it up. I was
So
saying it
he's
actually looks kinda
mimicking
fresh.
he's mimicking the behaviors of a saltwater croc so that he can literally be within a few inches of them.
So did they? Well, that would probably be real dangerous to try that, even the way he did it. But did they try it without the hex suit? Like, did they try like a rash guard with the same exact pattern on it?
Yeah. There's a lot of really good videos showing the difference between how much interaction you can have with certain animals, that especially ones that have it's scientifically been proven to sense it.
Yeah.
So, in the wildlife community, things like sharks and Shark Week obviously have a huge amount of funding behind it. Migratory birds, same thing. So all that stuff, there's been very good documentation on, electromagnetic fields and what animals can see. But when it comes to like the hunting community, obviously there's not a lot of big funding behind it because it's a much smaller community. But things like this, things that are on Animal Planet or Discovery Channel, I mean, these are things that are at, I think, a higher level of, maybe testing versus what we have in the hunting side. And I just know that me personally as a hunter, I've experienced more like up close interaction with it. So I just
Do you
find
think
some of
that
this stuff really,
is it possible
really cool.
that that's like a placebo effect? That you maybe just were in a really good spot with really good wind and you had a few experiences, so you put it together and you said, this is what's happening. Is it possible?
It's possible, but in the same sense, I'll leave that up to you.
I think it's possible too, but that's why I brought it up, because I think it's possible, but I think people want one or the other, right? And I think it's also entirely possible if there's a machine that can detect your electrical magnetic frequency or whatever the fuck that is, when they do it over that machine.
Which there is.
There is, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening there? And why are we assuming animals can't see that?
Well,
why
they
are we assuming
definitely
animals
can.
can see at night? They can see at night.
Yeah.
Right? They do
Yeah.
things that we can't do. They smell things we can't smell. They hear things we can't hear. We have intuition. Why would we assume that their intuition is not thousands of times sharper than ours? They're running away from fucking crocodiles and shit.
Do you know that? I know when you did the podcast with James Hetfield, you guys talked about bees a lot. Do you
Yeah.
know that bees, when they go to and from certain flowers, they leave an electromagnetic signal on that part, so that actually other bees can see that and know that another bee had already been there to pollinate that area.
Oh.
I've got a video I can show you that actually shows that, but
Did I ever tell you about my experience with bees on Fear Factor?
yeah,
With
which
the two
is
bees?
super cool.
Yeah. They got together. This was a crazy moment. They had trained bees.
Bee communication contest.
Yeah, these bees that this guy had brought in, who's a beekeeper, and then while we were doing the stunt on these people, and they put the bees on these people, all of a sudden this local beehive emptied out and came to visit. and they all the bees got together in the middle of the sky and talked, and we had to sit down for like a half an hour. The guy was like, you know, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to. We have to step back and let them work this out. So he just knew. He knew how like these alien beings are going to communicate with each other. How they're figuring, they're life forms, man. And we're just like, oh, it's just bees. No, it's not. It's a little weird life form that can fly, that somehow into the figures out. They exchange information with these other weird life forms. They realize, hey, we didn't ask to be here. We're not trying to take over your community. We showed up because we're doing Fear Factor.
You know the wiggle dance?
The little thing that bees do?
Yeah, the wiggle dance.
What is that?
They say they assume that's actually an electromagnetic dance that's done to where it gives a signal to the other bees to where they can actually know what they're communicating.
So they can say things?
Yep.
Do they know like how complicated the speech can be?
Well, I mean, obviously if a bee is sitting in a hive in my bush out in my front yard and he knows to go 3 blocks down and 2 blocks over and get into those purple flowers that are in someone's front yard, they must know pretty dang good.
How
deep.
do they know? I mean, we just
If they had a hex suit on, they probably wouldn't be able to figure it out. Be screwed.
That's an interesting idea, man, that there is really some sort of electrical electrical fields of flowers
James?
stimulate the sensory hairs of bumblebees? Holy
you.
shit, dude.
You
That
put
is
a hex suit on a
crazy.
bumblebee and he's like nothing's getting pollinated.
Listen to what that says. Electrical fields of flowers stimulate the sensory hairs of bumblebees. So their hairs are feeling where the wind is pulling them. They're feeling some sort of electrical charge to a certain little green
Like that dance.
meadow.
Solid.
Fuck, man. We're just, because they can't send emails, they don't do anything that's really, we've so slept on bees. They're dying off like crazy because of cell phones.
They're super cool.
Cell
Bees are
phones and
super cool.
pesticides. They're super cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
People that don't give a fuck about bees, like those are like the most hardcore radical Republican guys. Like, hey, we'll figure out mechanical bees. Don't worry about it.
Okay, Black Mirror.
There's people that are like that, man.
That was a good show.
dude. There's
We
been a
started.
bunch of those.
Sharon and I started watching that because of you.
Did you watch the dog one with the robot dogs?
Yeah, we watched them all.
It was a fucking terrifying show, right?
Yeah,
Because you're
there's-
like, oh, this is all like well within the realm of possibility. All of it. It's almost like a warning show. It's like, hey, fuckos, this is what could go wrong.
every episode is
Every
that.
episode is that. Did you see the one with the? I don't want to give any spoiler. It's with the video game that they put a chip in your brain. Did you see that one?
Yep.
Holy shit, man! That's 100% gonna happen. All of it's gonna
going to
happen.
happen.
Oh my god, we're so fucked. We're so fucked. We're so fucked.
It's going to
gonna
get
happen.
bad. It will get bad.
I think it's gonna get really good too. I think it's at the same time.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it's gonna get weird and it's gonna get really good. I'm very optimistic.
You know, a lot of the most, I don't know, a lot of the most informative stuff that I learn each and every day are from my boy that is in college right now, Harry.
Yeah.
And actually, I think he's in charge of his science club social media. I forget the Instagram. You'll have to look it up, Jamie, but I think it's like Simpson Chemistry Club or something. But he's every week he posts different chem facts, like chemistry facts. Science is crazy. If you're someone who doesn't really study it, there's a lot of ridiculous information out there. You start looking at that and you realize any of the stuff that we're talking about, it's 100% possible.
Well, there's every new innovation builds on potential new innovations that branch off of them. And they're always constantly pushing the curve. It's like they're not staying stagnant in any industry. Like there's nothing where technologically everybody's stagnant. Whether it's automobiles, like they're getting better and better every day. Computers better and better every day. Phones better and better every day. TVs better and better. It's just never ending.
It's not.
They are on this constant state of innovation and progression that is really stunning to watch, because we're almost like watching some cascade of complexity that is reaching some infinite point. The newest, latest HTC Vives, these virtual reality goggles that you put on, they're letting you know, hey, this is the future. The future is other realities in pill form. Other realities, you're going to be able to put your hand on a building. It's going to send you into another dimension. I mean, these are really real things that are going to happen. Matrix. Real Matrix. Within 50 years. Within 50 years.
Do you think it'll desensitize? I mean, they say video game. Well, back in our day, they said music, right? Music was what desensitized people.
Yes.
But, right? That's the basis of...
Now they say video games. This is
right.
Even
so
Donald Trump recently said video games are causing violence, which is like, come on, man.
I don't know if it's causing violence, but I would certainly think that people desensitized to blood and gore.
Yes.
Because I mean,
you're right.
Back when we were, well, you would have been before me, but like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto, it was a little bit after my time. Like for me, it was Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
The adult population couldn't stand Mortal Kombat because you ripped someone's spine out and held it up in the air.
Remember that?
What was it called?
I was thinking you talk about that though. Instead of being desensitized, aren't they just not sensitive enough yet because they haven't been even exposed to it? So like,
you're right.
The
That's
people
a
you're saying
better
are
way
mad
of
about Mortal
describing
Kombat lived through Vietnam. Like they saw all of that, and we didn't as kids.
You're 100% correct. Powerful young Jamie with a good point. That's a very good point.
Right.
Very good point. That's a super good point, because that's really exactly what's happening. You know, they're not experiencing real violence. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's like a real understanding of what real violence is would make you more respectful of real violence. So the more disconnected we are with real violence, the more almost this cartoonish expression of violence as being an alternative for being bored, being an alternative for being like bullied or tortured. Like instead of something to be avoided, it's like your last hurrah before you exit this life. Like you've flipped over the board game, you've pulled the plug out on the video game. And this is what like extreme violence is. That it seems to be more of that, maybe even than anything.
Definitely could be. I mean, you know, my boy is he's going to school to be a vet. And he's been, you know, he's able to look at, luckily he works for a veterinary clinic in our town, and he's personally been there for surgeries and all. He's been there for several years, so he's seen a lot of things. But the doctors were originally telling him, you know, hey, if you feel a little bit sensitive to this, or if you feel like you might pass out, let us know. But you know, Harry has been with me through a big portion of, you know, his life. So he's seen seen things get shot. He's seen things get field dressed. He's seen things get broken apart, and he's seen things get cooked for the family. So he's literally seen all the stages of really what life is. It's it's living, it's dying, and then it's being consumed by what is living. So, you know, they were a little bit surprised by the fact that he understood all that, but I think because he's experienced that, he did understand it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's experiencing it in a real life scenario versus in a video or in a book.
Right.
There's no way to learn life from a video or a book. What you can do is get exposed to ideas that will intrigue you, and you want to have those experiences. But there's just a giant difference. It's like the difference between watching porn and having sex. It literally is, right? I mean, that's the perfect example.
Yeah, it actually is.
It is the perfect example.
I will say that.
You have to experience things, and
Yep.
until you do, you don't know. And you know, we're always battling for, you know, people to take us seriously. We're always battling for our position in the social food chain, and all that clouds the way we communicate with each other too. I think we just have to get way better at this. And I think we're operating on some, we're in like this weird snake shedding of the skin stage. We're just got to shake off all the stupid shit that was invented by slave owners, all the dumb shit that's been like involved in our system from the beginning. We have to realize, like, no one knows what the fuck's going on. We have to look at everything for what it really is and forget about the past. What can we do right now? What can we do right now? And
do you think it's like a lot of things in life where you really, really like something and you almost go too far, and then in the end you think, okay, we've gone maybe a little bit too far, we're going to back things off. Do you think that's the truth in what we're doing right now? Do you think we're almost becoming too lenient, and then we're going to get to the point where, like, you know what, we have to have some
discipline.
Some discipline.
Yeah.
To where I was in a Starbucks the other day. I thought about posting it, but I didn't. I actually thought about sending it to you, but I didn't. But it was it was in a Starbucks, and it said there was a bathroom that said any sex, and there was a male, a woman, and a guy in a wheelchair. And I'm like, since when is a person in a wheelchair a sex? Like, you know, it's almost like they're afraid to put something on the door to where they just make it as broad as possible.
Right.
And it's like, you know, we have to have some lines. Otherwise, it's just nothing but gray.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think all this is in response to the idea that men and women are competing against each other. I think that's where we got to cut the shit. I think if this idea that, like, there's no doubt that you need women and you need men. We need humans, right? We need each other.
Yep.
So we got to figure out, like, why is everybody so hung up on gender? Is there an imbalance? And whatever that imbalance is, it's got to be corrected. But it's got to be corrected honorably, and it's got to be corrected honestly. Like, we have to be nice to each other, all of us. We like each other. Girls like boys, boys like girls. That's how it's always been. And any aberrations of that can really fuck your head up, but I think they're more aberrations than they are the norm. And I think we have to figure out how to make those aberrations lesser and lesser, and no one's concentrating on that. Instead, they're concentrating on boys versus girls, and I think that's crazy. It's like, if you only like men, I can't hang out with you, dude. You're going to say some fucked up shit about women, and I'm going to go, that's my daughter, that's my sister, that's my mom. Like, you can't do that. Like, this idea that, like, we're on a team and we're on Team Dicks and Team Vaginas trying to fucking steal our gold. Like, that's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. We can't do that anymore. Just like we can't do Team White people, right? That's not good either.
Yeah.
It's not good. Team fucking beige people. If you all beige people who speak Spanish, get on a team. Come on. What are we doing?
That's
this is
foolish.
Dumb. It's all the same. It's whether it's sexual orientation, whether it's gay, straight, whether it's black, white, male, female, Asian,
English,
Spanish,
Italian,
people. That's it. People, nice people, interesting people, different people. We have to learn that we're in a global community. Like, we really have to figure it out. And we're closer and closer than we've ever been before, but along the way, we're going to get ridiculous shit. We're going to get, like, people that are completely overreacting, and all men are sexist, and all men are rapists, and all sex with a penis and a vagina is rape. And there's a lot of that going on right now. But those are the echoes of the farthest reaches of the idea. And then that idea will pull back into the middle, and then the general consensus will be established.
Yep.
That's what people do.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to India?
No.
I didn't.
I don't think so.
I went to India for just short of a month for coaching. And
oh, you did tell me this.
Yep.
Oh, now I remember.
Yeah. It's a pretty good story, but the first part was I wanted to try to blend in. I'd never been to a third
Good luck.
world. Yeah.
Giant man in America. You're a giant in America. You know, dude, we take pictures together. I'm like, it's cute. I'm like looking up at your armpits. So you're giant for a place that doesn't have giant people.
I told him, I said I'll come down and coach. I'll work for a month, but I said I was more worried about my safety than anything. So I said I'll come down, but I really want to have a good flight, I was going a long way. I said, if I'm on the train, because I knew I had about a 4-hour train ride, I said, I want first class, start to finish. And I don't want to sound like a prima donna, but I also knew that I was going to a third world country. So asking for first class doesn't necessarily mean first class here.
Right.
So anyway, first class meant that my seats on my train had vinyl covering on there. So I flew into my airport, got off the train. I was trying to blend in, had some old blue jeans on, gray shirt, literally stepped off, and it was like the DJ freaking scratched the record from like song 5 to song 1. It was like, and literally every single, like a sea of people that were 2 feet shorter than me just literally stopped. Train stopped. Everything stopped. Everyone looked at the 6.5-foot dude standing in this Indian frickin' train depot. And I thought, all right, so much for blending in. I went up to the first class train lounge, which was pretty much a train lounge that had seats. Went up there, made friends with the cockroach that was in the bathroom, and then I got on the train. Did about 3 to 4 hours on a train. We stopped a few times because there were some cows on the tracks. You're not allowed to mess with the cows, I guess. So we had to wait for them to naturally move off the tracks.
Can it beep?
There was actually 2 dead bodies on our train. Have I ever told you this? There were 2 dead bodies, and they put the dead bodies on the floor of the aisle between the people. So our seats had vinyl on there, the first class. The non-first class did not. I remember at one point I looked back there was 2 dead bodies that had sheets over them. And then in the far back of the train, like where the trains connect, there was actually an Indian guy that was squatting down, pretty much ripping his dong backwards so that he could take a leak while in between the trains. Like he opened the door and he was squatting down, letting one rip between the trains. And I was sitting there thinking, oh man, I've got 20 days left here. But in saying that, once I got to where I was, they were probably the best students I've ever had because they were the most disciplined. Every one of those students wanted to get out of that lifestyle, and they saw that being a national level shooter was going to get them out of that lifestyle. So every single thing I taught them, they took it to a level that was far beyond what most people here would ever do.
Did they build as well? Did they build bows? Did you teach them how to do all that stuff?
Dude, their peeps, some of the people on their national team, their peep sight, which is the small little circle that's in your bowstring that allows you to kind of, it's almost like if you can imagine a rifle, you have a rear sight and a front sight. So the peep sight is in your string, it's a circle, and it's your rear sight, and then you align it with the front sight. Theirs was made out of wood. They would have a stick with a hole drilled in it, and they would put that in their string.
Wow.
So imagine someone like that, and you're there giving them instruction, and every single thing you tell them to do, they'll do it to the 10th degree because they want out. I mean, it was extreme motivation because I felt like everything that I was doing from a training point of view was inadequate to what they were doing. The only difference was they didn't have the education that we had.
Right.
They were disconnected. I remember I would actually have to go to an internet cafe, and I'd have to pay for 5 minutes of internet, like dial-up internet, to call Sharon. So, I mean, you look at people that are like that, they want it at a level that's so far beyond what a lot of, I mean, we're just floating in the gravy over here.
Right.
I mean, it's
It's
true.
a
It's
great
true.
way to put it.
It's true.
It's totally true.
You know, you look at some of the people. I was a keynote speaker at an international coaching convention in Brazil before the Olympics there, and you go down there and you realize some of these people they want it way more than the people that have it easy.
Yeah.
And
That's always the case, though, right?
Yeah, that's the case. That's the people that are hungry are the ones that are really struggling to make it, and that's what gets tough. Is learning to stay on top when you have it easy. When there's people that are literally investing every single day and getting to that point.
Yeah, that's the fuel, right? That's one of the weird things is very few people who grow up with like some crazy inheritance plan and millions of dollars in the bank ever
It's a
go
big
on to do
problem, I
things.
think.
It's a giant problem.
I think it's a big problem.
It's a giant problem with those people. Anybody that grows up in that scenario where you are never really taught the value of accomplishing things. And then it's not just about securing your fate. It's also about managing your consciousness, and accomplishing things is good for you. And you can't think it's not. You have to just accept it and learn it and think of it as a sort of a growing experience. And if you don't do that, you're not going to grow. And if you don't grow, you're going to be fucked. You're going to be fucked whether you're rich or you're poor. You're missing the thing. The thing is not how many zeros and ones you collect. That's not the thing. The thing is, like, how well do you feel while you're going through it? And if you're doing it wrong, you got to figure out what it is. Well, obviously, having $1 million in the bank is not doing it right. If the dude's still taking pills and he's super depressed, it's not the money, right? So what is it? What's the thing?
And you and I have both met a lot of people in that category.
I think everybody you talk to, everybody that goes through, it's hard. Life is hard. There's a lot of people that have fallen into that category. And it could have been me. It easily could have. I had different scenarios, different circumstances, different parents. Different neighborhood I grew up in, and it can go wrong. You can go down the dark road, and all of a sudden you're fucked. And that's the case for all of us.
Do you feel like I feel a lot of people look at me as an archer. I made a very, very good career. I couldn't possibly have made it better. I don't think for shooting a bow for a living. I don't think I could have made it better. And there's definitely archers that are better than me. I never claim to be the best. I just claim to be the one that is willing to share the most. I don't claim that I have the most natural talent. I just feel like I'm willing to share the most. But I don't know. I also feel like there's this, I don't know, this part of me that feels like if I didn't, even though I don't have necessarily talent, the fact that I am willing to share it, I think it takes it to a different level, because I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. Do you know about my past as a kid?
Yeah. You told me a lot of different things about you burning your house down accidentally.
I did. Okay. Yeah. So a big part of why I actually joined sports to begin with, because originally I was a skater. I liked to skate, and I wasn't really into organized sports. And
I think the craziest thing is you abandoning football.
Yeah.
For archery.
Yeah. Well, but before that, the reason I got into football is because my dad was such a great athlete that, I played with matches and took it too far, ended up burning my house down, literally had nothing. My mom was in Puerto Rico on a business trip. My dad was at work, burned our house to the ground. I remember being there when my family was sifting through ashes, literally, trying to find something to salvage from our history as a family. And my dad was such a stellar athlete that I felt like the only thing I could do to really make him proud of me at that point was become a good athlete. So I focused on becoming a good athlete. And that was my drive, was because it wasn't because I really liked it. It was because of it was because of guilt. It was because I really felt like the only thing I could do to make my dad, who was a military guy, someone who had definitely earned his street creds, I felt like the only thing I could do was become this great athlete, which he was, in order to earn his respect, and kind of did that in order to make up for the fact that, you know, I had this one moment as an adolescent where I literally burned down every single thing our family ever had.
Holy shit. Man.
I mean, imagine right now when we're done with this podcast, you get a call and you realize your house was on fire. And it's different now because we have phones, but imagine we don't have phones. Every single picture you have of your family, you know, every single one is gone. Every single thing that maybe someone signed for you in the UFC is gone. Every single, your black belt that you got from Eddie, it's burned. It's gone. Like, that's gone. Every single thing from right now until you were born is gone. That's what my parents lost, and it was because of me. So,
But you know what, man? They didn't lose you. I think ultimately the difference between you making a mistake and burning the house down, which is horrific, or you dying.
Yep.
That's the big difference. Like, everything worked out. Look, here you are. Everything's great.
Well, and that's what was great about my dad, was the fact that once that moment happened, my mom and my dad have never ever brought that up. They've never held that over me. It's
amazing.
been me from the outside looking in, thinking they've never mentioned this because they know that I feel so bad about it. But me being competitive as an athlete was because I wanted to make my dad proud from that aspect. And literally that competitive drive as a football player and track or whatever else, that fed the archery side, because when I went to my archery tournament for the first time and I sucked at it, I was naturally competitive and really wanted to be better at it. Not that wasn't because of the fire, but that was just because of a principle that competitive sports put in me. You know, so it's crazy how all these little pieces build character. But you know, that's why several weeks ago there was a really big archery tournament, and I actually got wind, which I'm not big on kind of feeding in or buying into negativity at all, but there was some negativity that I heard from other shooters that are shooting now and shooting currently, saying, you know, why is this guy popular? Why is he successful? He's not even shooting right now. He's not even competing. And,
Ooh,
you know,
hate.
yeah.
Little dirty green monster.
Yeah.
Envy. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Why does John Dudley get all the attention?
Yeah. And I've been pretty
I shoot better than him.
Are you gonna do Gollum again? You did that on the last podcast.
That's not Gollum.
It's pretty good though.
No, Gollum is.
I don't know. I feel like these people that feed on the negativity, they don't understand that all these little things that have happened are building blocks. And I want to use it as motivation to the people out there. Not everyone has a perfect picture. You know, people see where maybe you and I are now, but they don't realize we also had huge hurdles before we got here. And it's how you address those, you know, and how you take adversity. That's really who defines you. And it's a really, really good opportunity for you to set a precedence of, I had hardship, I made it over it, and, you know, you can become inspiration for people by having that obstacle and then overcoming it.
Yeah, well, I think that's the big point, is that we all learn from each other. I mean, I've most certainly learned from you telling me about your struggles, as well as I have from most of my friends that tell me about their struggles, or things that I've read about, or things that I've seen in documentaries, or things. We learn from each other, and you get I think we're all accumulating data as far as like how the world works, what's the best way to behave, and what's the best way to live. And we're all in the middle of accumulating all this data. We're all taking it in from each other, and we got to be open to it. You got to be open to taking it from even like, although it seems kind of corny sometimes, like I will read some shit by The Rock, or I will watch a Kevin Hart Instagram video, and I get fucking fired up. I'm like, I'm going to go do this, man. And I mean, if it's not Jocko saying good, or if it's not
That was dope.
or when I think about that David Goggins podcast that I did,
Very good.
dude, I think about Goggins. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I can't even understand that kind of mental intensity. He was freaking me out, man. He was freaking me out in the most impressive way. Like I'm like, he was 100%. That guy was 100% serious, like ready to die on a foot race. He's ready to die, 100%. He's not lying at all. There's no part of it. He's taking it to the dark lands. He's going to take you to the dark lands. Will you follow? Will you follow him to the dark lands?
Damn those seals. Andy does the same, but he took us to the dark land
With tequila.
in the tequila universe.
Yeah, well, he'll do it with everything. He's an animal. But those people, and it expresses itself differently in all these different exceptional people. Like Jocko is different than Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy is different than Andy. They're all different, but also all incredibly exceptional. But there's something that they give off.
I like that, though. When you talked about the exception among the exceptional.
Yeah, that's what I think he called it. David Goggins called it uncommon amongst uncommon people.
That's true. Yeah, that is very, very true.
That's the Kobe Bryant of killing people right there. I read this thing about Kobe Bryant the other day. I was just reading. I don't know anything about basketball, okay? And I always refer to Jamie about anything sports related.
How many halftimes is there in basketball?
I have zero idea. I don't know how long it takes. It could take a day.
How many quarters?
I have no idea. I would imagine if you say quarters, I'd say there's 4 of them. If you say how many periods, I don't know.
How many halftimes?
But I was reading all the stuff about his high school coach saying that they would get there and he would be shooting baskets in the dark because they hadn't even turned the lights on yet. He'd be there an hour, 2 hours before everybody. That he would show up at these practices. Everybody would be at breakfast, and he would show up with ice on his knees, and he was fully sweated out. Like he'd just done 3 hours of working out before anybody did anything. There's people like that, man, and you can hate on them. You can hate on them. You can decide that that's not worth it. But the best thing you can do is acknowledge that they're doing something that makes you feel funny.
Yep.
And that makes you feel funny is your sense of understanding who you are. It's testing. It's testing how you feel about yourself. It's testing how you feel about your place in the universe. It's testing it. You don't want to know that there's some crazy Kobe Bryant motherfucker getting up at 4 a.m, doing deadlifts. Like, shit, I want to sleep. But I also want to be number 1, bro.
Yep.
Former Lakers player and head coach Byron Scott said he once found an 18-year-old Bryant shooting in a dark gym 2 hours before practice.
I used to do that, but it was throwing footballs. Footballs into it was actually into the laundry baskets.
It's not uncommon, man. It's not uncommon. If you
it's
really
the same
want
with
to
archery.
succeed.
I mean,
sure.
my sleeping hours are super, super irregular. There's times where I feel like practicing, or a lot of times you'll probably get up in the morning and I've already built your bow, and I built it at 4 or 5 in the morning, because to people that are the exceptional among their field, they can't sleep if they know that they have to do something.
What are we looking at, Jamie?
Because as you guys are talking about this, he just tore his Achilles. This is probably one of his last things he did. He tore his Achilles, but this is like a rule in the game. He had to shoot his free throws. It's a weird stipulation. So he's walking back out with no Achilles, and he does this. It was pretty impressive.
Wow, he can barely walk, man. Holy shit.
And no crying or nothing. But
Yeah,
it was really
well,
fucked up.
That's how you have to be if you want to be a winner. There's just no way around it.
Yep.
Swish. Holla. That's why I get the money. Holla. Look at my mansion.
At that point, it's just subconscious taking over.
Anybody that doesn't think that someone like Kobe Bryant doesn't deserve a mansion and all the money he has does not understand what he just did. 2
Yep.
swishes in a row with no Achilles. Just
Yep.
shut the fuck up. I don't know shit about basketball. I know that was amazing.
I've actually been pretty stuck on this subject in the last few weeks. I hardly ever look at negativity. I mean, I really don't read it, don't look at it, but there was a really big archery tournament about a month ago, and there were some other pros that had made some comments about me, just saying, you know, how is John Dudley on a GRE podcast? He's not even competing. He's not even doing anything. And, you know, people wanted to know how I felt about that. And I said, the reality is there's several archers out there that have 10 times the talent of me. No question. I'm not saying that I have that. But what really is shitty about that situation is when someone has 10 times more talent than me and they do a 10th as much. To me, that's a big problem.
So you think there's a lot of people out there that are not realizing their full potential, so because of that, they're critical of other people because maybe even they're looking at their own self and they feel like they're not
I don't know.
maximizing their time?
I think they're looking at, the problem is,
Because the people do that, right?
yeah, absolutely. You limit yourself when you are not looking at what you're doing. When you're so occupied on what someone else is doing, you limit what your true talent is. So is that my problem? Is it my problem that you have 10 times the talent of me, but I'm doing 10 times more with it? Is that my problem?
Those are big numbers.
Okay, let's say 2 times.
Okay.
Okay, let's say you have twice the talent, the natural
We don't even
talent.
have to. You have more, but you're
Right.
doing less.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I just feel like
There's a lot of people doing that, right?
yeah, there's.
Yeah.
I actually think the majority. I think the people that are standouts are people that don't have the natural, true talent. I think John Jones is a perfect example. If he was able to literally 100% maximize his talent, how good could he be? The problem is he's the one that has 10 times the talent, but he's screwing it up. And there's guys that have half the talent that are bigger stars because they're actually doing it the right way, and they're maximizing. They're almost doubling their potential because they're working at it in the right fashion versus someone that has the true talent isn't really maximizing their talent.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. But I think here's a good sign. Here's a really good sign. This is an easy way to decipher it. When you see someone complaining about someone else's success, anytime you see that, anytime you see someone complaining about someone else's success and possibly equating it to like some injustice in the world because they don't have equal success, the person's making a mistake. They're making a mistake in even the way they're thinking. If you criticize something because you just think it's bad, well, that's certainly your prerogative.
Yep.
Right? I mean, especially if it's an art form or if it's something someone created, that's one thing. But if you're upset at someone's success, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, well, they wanted to be successful. They did the thing that it took to be successful. They became successful. And what's your point? You don't have a point. Your point is, why not me? It's the little kid's version of, what about me? What about me? Well, it's not fair. It's not fair that some people are born billionaires. It's not fair. It's not fair that some people are born with birth defects where they don't have feet. It's not fair that some people, their fucking brain doesn't work as well as yours. There's a lot of shit that's not fair.
Yep.
Look at what you got. Look at what you got. You're doing well, and you're worried about someone else is doing better. Why not just look at them? Why not just look at them and go, well, what is that guy doing different? What is she doing different than me? How come she's so much more successful? How did he figure out how to do that? And look at it that way. Don't look at it like you're angry at those people. That shit is wasted. It doesn't do you any good. It does zero good for anybody involved. Not you, not the person you're trying to figure out why is this fucking guy good? That shit is just bad for you. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for the person thinking negatively. It's bad for everybody around them. the best way to do is like, like even if you're not even hateful about it, like here's a good example. Like if a movie is fucking giant in the box office, you're like, wow, I thought it sucked. I didn't like it, or whatever. But if you freak out, how's fucking that movie? Jumanji? Are you fucking shitting me, bro? Jumanji? That fucking piece of shit? You know, people get crazy. They get crazy. That guy made $800 million for fucking Jumanji. Can't. It's not good for you, man. You gotta let that go.
Yep.
Don't worry about Jumanji. Worry about yourself.
Did you watch Jumanji?
It's pretty good. I saw it twice.
I haven't
Like,
seen
I
it
have
yet.
little kids, man.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty good. I thought it was very good. It's really well done.
It's a good point, though.
And The Rock together, you can't miss. Jack Black in one of the best performances in years. And whoever was the hot redhead chick, she was great too. Jamie
I like
probably knows her.
Tropic Thunder, though. I think Jack Black was good in Tropic
Jamie's got
Thunder.
one of those Farrah Fawcett posters
That's
with
good.
that chick.
I just looked something up weird. It's sort of related. The Jurassic World. Did you see that movie when it came out a couple years ago?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's the number 3 all-time grossing movie.
Thank God.
What?
Thank God.
Are you kidding me?
Fuck,
Yeah.
Hey, fuck The Godfather.
Chris Pratt, if you want archery lessons, legitimate.
I bet he does. I bet he does.
Legitimate.
You know, did you see that Instagram post that he put up of his sheep or lamb that he killed? He had a
Oh,
pet
a
lamb. and
lamb.
put a bolt to its head and, you know, and chopped it all up, and people freaked the fuck out. They're like, this is our
I didn't
food.
see that.
You didn't see it? Dude, Chris Pratt's got some balls.
I saw him post a picture of a rub on a tree,
Oh, he hunts.
and he said something about trolls.
Yo, what's up? Chris Pratt here,
Coin it.
another 2018.
Right?
That's-
What's that? This is like a rap. He's rapping. What is
yeah, that sounded like is this a new album?
that? No.
Pratt rap?
He does, though. Go
Pratt
to his...
Pack.
Chris Pratt here, another
That's not it. There's a video where he shows the lamb that he's actually taken apart.
This is it. It says Lamb Son.
Is this it?
Oh,
See the...
in the video it says it?
I'm working on it. But I
Okay.
Another what's my snack? But I ate it all.
Sorry.
Well,
No, there's
eating
what I meant is there are photographs.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
actually
that's right.
photographs of the butchered lamb, and people lost their fucking shit, man. That's not it. It's there's actually like photographs of the meat, and like there's a roast, and the roast is there. It is, right, the one in the middle. Yeah, and this one
that's
got.
legitimate.
I don't know if that's necessarily
this
the
glorious
lamb
food.
that came from his. I'm
I would
assuming
say
it is. It has to be.
honestly.
Sounds like it.
It says, look at all this glorious food. We will eat off him for a month. His wool is becoming yarn as we speak. He lived a very good life. He was groomed and shorn. His hooves medicated,
What?
dewormed, and no antibiotics necessary, surrounded by laughing and loving humans, including children to whom they provided such joy, nuzzled, pet, and loved every day. No stressful travel to his final destination, trauma-free. Just a touch of a USDA certified wand to his head, and he goes to sleep. The other sheep don't even notice. It's like unplugging a TV. Then Waka, he's got a butcher named Waka. Waka, my butcher. Waka Flocka, side job. Then
I think
Waka.
that's a rapper.
It is, definitely. You're so white. Waka,
What do you mean,
my
white?
butcher, works
Not
his
white.
magic. You're definitely white. Right now, the meat is for friends, family, and gifts. Soon, though, it may be available to my followers as we test recipes and open up to market. Oh my God, he's going to murder animals for a living. Got to get some things dialed in first, including murder, murder of sheep. Just kidding. Like,
He is
I eat
kidding.
meat. It is, but
That
that's
looks glorious.
think of the
big
balls in this
believer.
guy. When has a A-list actor ever considered opening
I
up
agree.
a meat shop and showed a photo on his Instagram of the honest procurement of meat in an honest way?
Did
right?
you see that post I made today?
No, which one?
I have my airplane mode on, so I can't post it. But I think I made a post. It was a Google search that I did. There was 21 independent, legitimate scientists that found that if you ate 50 grams of processed meat per day, your chance of cancer was 18% higher.
Holy shit.
Just think of that number.
Now, is it nitrites? What is it? What do they think it's causing that? In the
Well, I
processing?
mean, yeah.
preservatives?
I mean, that part wasn't clearly defined, but I would definitely think it was preservative based. But
They don't really know, though, right? They know it's processed meat that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
But they don't know what it is exactly specifically.
But that's what's awesome about how you and I hunt. I posted it specifically to actually some Axis backstraps from Hawaii last year. Because I think it's maybe ignorant for people to automatically make a post saying, you're a killer just because you post a picture of, free range organic meat that you decide to choose to touch.
You got to look at it. I know what you're saying, but you got to look at it from their perspective too.
I do.
Even if they're not right. And there's no right here. The thing is, they're right and you're right. It's everybody's right. That's really what's fucked up about it. Like, an animal does have to die. That is a fact.
I agree.
And that does bother people, including you and me, when it happens.
Yeah, people don't realize that, but that is true.
They don't. But the understanding at the end of the day is that this is the cycle of life. And this is what life is really all about. So they're right and you're right. But this expression of outrage, like, you should be expressing that at Burger King. You should be, and not Burger King. Just, I'm not singling them out. Anybody that has fast food, which I've eaten many times.
Yep.
If you want to live in a society of 20 million people, you're going to have to live in a place, most likely with this model, where you've got In-N-Out Burger. And I like In-N-Out Burger. I like them. They taste good.
We went there.
We went there in Vegas. They're goddamn good,
Dynamite.
right? It's hard to beat. So I don't necessarily hate those things, but you have to understand what all this really is. It's the whole thing is crazy. You're here for a very short period of time, as are these animals. All of us are trying to stay alive. All of us are freaking out when other things get eaten, and we're all just going like, well, I just want to be the best version of me I can be. Mm-hmm. You're right and they're right. They haven't experienced what they have decided that an animal should not die. There's no way an animal should die so they can live. And if they can live that way, that's their choice. They're welcome to that choice. They just don't understand the merit of your choice. The merit of your choice is just diametrically opposed to what they think should be and should not be a thing a person does. You shouldn't be a person that kills animals. But when you're engulfed in that world, when you're living in the woods, when you're going through these 7, 8, 9, 10-day hunts, you get this understanding of what this world around these things really is. It's this crazy, beautiful, complex interaction between predator and prey. And it's been going on since life was here.
Yep.
Just what it is. And what you're doing as a hunter is just figuring out with your soft bitch-ass skin and your fucking shaky knees, bad ankles, and you're weaseling yourself into a position where you can jump into the food chain with wolves around. I mean, that fucking conversation that we had about wolves, dude, that changed people's understanding of what a wolf is.
Yeah.
On the first time you came on the podcast, you talked about how the wolves are trying to take your elk away from you. Dude, that's a crazy story.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of my all-time favorite stories.
Yeah, there's
an interaction going on, predator and prey. It's happening whether you like it or not.
The whole food chain, it's not like it's established and it's written in stone. Every level of the food chain is being competitive with the next.
Yes.
It's not like it is a very clear-cut, concrete step to where every step is clear. Humans are here, wolves are here, grizzlies are here, axis deer are here, turkeys are here.
And I would inject one other thing, CWD.
Yep.
Chronic wasting disease is
All
killing
of a sudden,
deer
biology
left
comes
and right.
into this thing.
Diseases.
Yeah.
Diseases are creeping in and killing deer left and right. And a lot of people feel like these diseases were created by people farming those deer. Those deer, taking them out of the wild environments and letting them like eat off of the same food and constantly exchange bacteria with each other. And that's what created this thing.
I've told people many times that I feel like Mother Nature is a form of karma. I think Mother Nature will take care of herself. I think as things below that level try to occupy their own status, I think that's the balance. That's a check that's in process. I think Mother Nature I think if you decide, I'm not going to shoot any turkeys, I'm going to just let these turkeys go as wild as they can. I think all of a sudden Mother Nature comes in and says, I'm going to throw a little trump card in here called blackheads disease. This is going to kill every freaking turkey in your area, and I'm going to regulate this according
Isn't that fascinating that always happens?
Yeah.
When animals get over, and that's one of the things
and
that
it's,
they're
you know,
concerned about
turkeys
in
is
Hawaii,
blackhead's
right?
disease. Yep. And then you look at whitetail in areas where maybe there's been, you know, I guess, quote unquote, trophy hunters to where they've not really, I guess, regulated the population of whitetail deer to point where, you know, they're trying to grow trophy hunting. So
you mean to try to grow deer with large antlers?
yeah, larger antlers, so they're maybe shooting less numbers, and then all of a sudden, here comes this little thing called EHD, which kills every whitetail that
What
goes
does
to
that
drink
stand for?
water. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
CWD is chronic wasting disease.
Yeah,
EHD
is different. It's a midge that actually lives in the mud on the receding water line on a pond. So as a whitetail deer would go in to actually drink, this midge fly lives in the soil on the receding water line, and it would go into the nostril of the deer, and then literally within 48 hours that deer is dead if it gets that virus.
Look at the name of it. Epizootic hemorrhagic disease.
Yep.
So it's like an Ebola type disease. I think Ebola is
know.
Ebola a
You need to read
hemorrhagic
it.
disease?
I'm not.
Dude, I have to pee so hard.
Me too.
I've never had to pee more in my life.
This is awesome.
We've had. Did I pee before the show? Oh, there's
Have you
the
ever?
difference between wolves and coyotes. I saw
Ooh.
that picture. That's an amazing picture. Somebody got a picture between this majestic black wolf with fucking white glowing eyes. That wolf looks amazing.
Coyotes are like, I'm out.
These two coyotes are like, fuck all this. We gotta get away from that thing, man. That is so
How do
different.
we go from EHD to two coyotes running from a black wolf?
How do we concentrate on that? What's that?
I just set it up.
Do you think you guys could talk for a few minutes while I pee?
Go for it.
Keep it together.
Yeah.
Talk about sports.
Sports. All right, Jamie.
have that in common?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Is this the first official podcast where Rogan's had to actually?
that's maybe like the second or third time in
a
the last
second
couple
time.
months.
Yes.
It's not Knock On podcast.
Flex that. Yep. No, this is pretty epic right here to make Rogan actually go. It means he's consumed more than he's talked. That's pretty powerful.
It happens from time to time.
I know. I like that sweatshirt. Jamie's actually told me earlier he's trying to make a profession out of video gaming, which
I wouldn't know about a profession, but I stream from time to time on Twitch, which is an interesting thing. You said your son does it a little bit, or he looks at it, watches it.
Well, I used to play quite a bit. We had two accounts. One was Death by Dudley on PlayStation, and the other one was Bald Hairless Yeti.
What are you playing with them? Like, do you guys play
At
go head-to-head?
times we
Yeah.
did. Yeah, we were big Modern Warfare guys. We really like that. And actually, I met several cool dudes during that online play. I always, honestly, I felt like if I was a competitive archer and I would have been online prior to my competition, I feel like I almost could have helped some of my performance anxiety when it comes to competition, because there's so many, you get so like into beating the guy that you're going against that you can almost freak out and you don't do things according to a systematic method, which is really all a video game is it's if you follow the systematic method, you can overcome the algorithm, right?
For sure. Yeah.
But
Thank the baby Jesus, I'm back.
here he comes.
That was rough. That was
Powerful.
one of those.
I got to go now.
Do you go ahead? No worries.
What are you going to talk about?
Whatever you talked about. We're gonna
Video
review
games.
it.
Let's hear
Jamie's gonna give you a review.
Let's hear this.
I had to pee so hard. That was crazy. I was
I
really
talked about
worried.
I talked about my two online video gaming accounts with my little dude Harry. One was Death by Dudley, and the other one was Bald Hairless Yeti.
What do you play?
Mainly Modern Warfare stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anything that you kill someone, sadly enough.
Go get your urine on. Me and young Jamie will talk about the implications of that.
Let's hear about this.
What is this? What is it about these
How
people?
come I have
and
3
video
coffees?
games? That's not good. That's a lot of caffeine. Thank God you got that whiskey to dumb it down.
Balance is perfect.
Yeah, you'd be talking out of control. It's one of the drunker podcasts. One of them, right? But there's something fun about getting together with a really good friend, just getting lit up, smoke a little weed, drink a little whiskey, and just have a good time. Just have a good time. Today's been a good time. That guy's a good guy. John Dudley's a fucking good man. I love that guy. He's fun. And he's also a master at something that's very difficult to do. He's a master not just at like executing archery, but instructing it, teaching people. It's a fascinating thing, that archery, man. To me, it's super important. And I think like everybody goes through these like things where like what's important to them. Like to you, it might be a guitar amp. You know, it might be certain drums or drumsticks. It might be whatever the fuck you're into. You know, that might be important to you. But archery, I think, is one of those things that most people miss. You just don't get a chance at it. You're like, oh, that looks good. That looks like it would be fun, but you don't know where to go, and you never do it. Like by far, most people. But once you do it, you realize like, oh, I can learn about life through this weird thing. I'm pulling that string back, and I'm launching a pointed stick at a target, and I'm learning about myself. Like, what? I'm learning about how I deal with situations where I have to execute correctly under pressure. Even if it's just the minor pressure of hitting a target or the major pressure of hitting an animal. You learn through that shit, Jamie. What are you showing me?
There's this game. I feel like I showed this to you a while ago, but this is called The Hunter Call of the Wild.
Should we
This is
tell
the actual
people?
archery part of it?
Should we tell? Oh, damn, it's a compound bow.
Yeah.
That dude's got a real bow.
Yeah.
Why does he go sideways like he's
Well,
gangsta?
It's probably so you can see. I bet once you pull it up to aim,
He better.
which I'm hoping I can get
He
to.
better pull
There
it
you go.
back.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there he goes. Wow, that's legit. Look at this. John Dudley, there's a goddamn archery video game where a guy's pulling back a bow and looking through a sight like you would like a real compound bow sight. That's amazing.
With the whisker biscuit.
Powerful whisker biscuit.
And then you go hunt
A lot of people
animals and
still
shit.
rock it. A lot of people still rock the
What
biscuit.
is this about?
I wish the biscuit was
What?
infallible. I wish it was the way to go. Seems so easy.
I just hate the name.
Yeah.
Whisker biscuit.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, I
became a
don't
problem.
hate it, but it's definitely provocative.
People don't know what we're talking about. It's a
Yes, they
archery
do.
rest. The arrow.
No,
Some
they
people do.
definitely do.
Most people don't. Most people listening to this podcast probably don't. It's a type of archery rest where the arrow sits. It's very controversial. This is how geeky archery is. It's very controversial. Should you have some fine mesh that sort of cradles the arrow and the fletchings will pass through that fine mesh, possibly knocking down how many feet per second? 5? 5 feet?
Possibly.
3 to
You're
5?
getting scientific. I don't do that. on
So
my
we'll be,
second hour.
So we'll be real conservative and say 3 feet a second, which it probably knocks off more than that. But some people like it because of its simplicity. There it is. That's a whisker biscuit. And the fletchings will pass through those fine fibers, slow it down a little bit, but not too much.
That's literally like training wheels for your arrow.
What John Dudley believes in is like this crazy drop away type thing where they have an arrow rest that drops down. He even makes his own arrow rest.
Yep.
Knock on arrow rest.
The
It's on all my
elevate.
bows.
It is.
The knock on elevate. It's the shit.
Joe,
It's
I've got
it's
a subject I want to talk to you about. I've never
do it.
talked to you about this.
Ever? Uh-oh.
No. So
I'm getting nervous.
a bunch of my UST members are going to shoot me in the face for talking about this because
in the face.
yeah, literally in the face. Because one thing that was an ongoing thing when I was on the U.S. team, there was this thing that went on about how long we could go at a tournament before we talked about this particular person. So during my time on the teams, we actually had a person that was she claimed to have a medical disorder, or she didn't actually claim to have it, but supposedly it happens. But she claimed to have a disorder where she had attachment to items this girl that was on my team actually ended up marrying the Eiffel Tower.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding.
Wait a minute. She had an attachment to
Yeah,
things, meaning
she
like
actually-
a love interest.
Yeah,
in
she actually
buildings?
filed some claims against, supposedly filed some claims against a bow company that this bow company actually had a rubber laminate on the limbs of the bow, and
woman
God
with
dang, there
objects
she
fetish
is.
marries Eiffel Tower. Is that her? Wow. She married
man.
Paris's famous monument.
I rode in many buses with
You rode with her?
Aya, yeah.
Oh my God. She's a
Okay.
former soldier who lives in San Francisco. She has been in love with objects before. Her first infatuation was with Lance, a bow that helped her become a world-class archer. She is fond of the Berlin Wall, and she claims to have a physical relationship with a piece of fence she keeps in her bedroom. What in the fuck? What are we doing? What are we doing, people? We can't do this. We've gotten too crazy. We gotta pull back.
Here's the
Can't
thing.
marry a fucking bridge. This bitch married a bridge? She married a Brooklyn
No,
Bridge?
she married the Eiffel Tower.
This bitch is marrying a bridge, though. She's
No.
kissing
Hold on.
bridges.
Parts of being in love with a public object.
What? What the fuck did she just say?
Being truly in
Being in love with a public object. Crank that up. I want to hear this crazy lady.
I feel very, very blessed to have a piece of my sweet Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, Jesus, stop. I give up. I'm out. I hung in there as long as I could. This
Now,
bitch is in
meanwhile-
love with the bridge. Hey!
Now, meanwhile,
Where's your dad?
wait. In the middle of all this, there's a lot of people like me that have shot tens and tens and tens of thousands of arrows trying to win a medal for their country.
Right, but that's different. You're chasing
No.
an accomplishment. You're not fucking
Yeah.
a bridge.
Yeah,
That lady's trying to fuck
but
a bridge.
meanwhile, she's on her team bus. She literally slept with her bow one night at an event, and then got an infection from the silicone on the limbs, and the rest of the team had to deal with this problem.
When you say infection,
I don't know where the infection was, but I would imagine. Oh no!
Just put a hat on the bow.
I'm gonna step away from the mic.
listen. But, hey, how good was she as an archer?
Jamie, this
You're a
is pretty
son of a
rare.
bitch.
He's actually like
Jamie loves it. Son of a
Jamie.
bitch. Look at him. Son of a bitch. How good was she as an archer? She must have been very good. She was on the team, right? Oh, she's putting a hat on the bow. Not a good sign.
Actually looked like pot holder.
But she must have been like a world-class archer, right? Don't do it. Don't do it to me, John Dudley.
I would say decent.
Good archer. Decent.
Okay,
Decent's
so
good.
here's the thing.
Okay.
So she married the Eiffel Tower.
How'd that work out?
I think she's still married to it. French people were pissed.
her
This
last
is
name.
true. This is 100% true. French people are pissed
Yeah.
because American just goes over there, gets his fiance visa, marries the tower, right? So now we got a dual citizenship. Meanwhile, she's got this thing for the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Berlin Wall's a flirt, first of all.
So
The
what's
Berlin Wall
No.
is always like being real sweet and giving you those extra long hugs. The Berlin Wall fucking
Wait.
asked for it.
Jamie cannot.
Of course, she's in love with the Berlin Wall. Who's
on.
not? How about I
She's
got a better
married
question
to,
for you?
She's married to Eiffel, though. So here's
Well,
the deal.
Berlin
Listen to
is
this.
a
I
dirty
want Joe
bitch.
to listen to
Okay,
this.
let me hear it.
I just randomly picked a spot. Her last name is Eiffel, though.
She literally took the legal name. Her name originally was Isla Brie, and I had to travel with her, but now it's Aya Eiffel.
Jamie, I have to send you something that someone sent me today that I sent to Brian Callen. I'm going to send you it in 2 seconds.
If that's legal,
it's-
who did that?
The thing about France, moves to see. Just you could probably Google it. France moves. It's on NPR, so it's legit. France moves to make 15 the legal age of consent for sex, and it's because a bunch of dudes got in trouble for having sex with 11-year-olds.
What?
Yeah, we were talking
Save
about
this
Roman.
for another podcast.
No, look at that.
Let's
France
talk
moves
about
to
a
make
weirdo.
age 15 the legal age of consent for sex. Like, whoa. There's parts of the world that are just not where we are right now.
Nope.
They're just not. If you don't look at that, like you gotta. Who's saying this? Who's saying 15? Like what? 15 for what? An 80-year-old? An 80-year-old can fuck a 15-year-old? Is that what you just said? I'll kill you. I will fucking kill you.
Yep. Here
In
comes
France,
a death
as long
grip.
as violence, coercion, threat, or surprise is not proven, sexual intercourse with a minor, even one under 15, is considered an, I don't know what that means, which is an infraction and not a crime. It says attention sexual, which is an infraction and not a crime. I mean, come on.
I will put a tripan right through that guy's face.
Yeah,
and
this
not
is
even blink.
This is a correction necessary. You have a cultural issue. That's a cultural issue. Correction necessary. No, you can't fuck 10-year-olds.
If anyone has a problem with guys that are, I guess,
But that's
like idiots like this,
terrifying.
that is
That's terrible. But I think
terrifying.
I think this is what happens with people, man. I think people get caught up in whatever the other people around them are doing. And there's this weird mob mentality. I mean, I think that's how war
That's
happens.
the craziest thing I've seen in a
crazy.
long. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's today, 2018, March 2018. While we're talking, this is on the news as of happening right now in Europe. They go, well, all right, let's make it illegal to fuck 14-year-olds. Like, what? You don't have that already on the books? You could fuck a 9-year-old over there, right? How old do they have to be? Is there an age limit at all? Or is it just, oh, you fucked the baby, bonjour. Bonjour, sorry, merci.
That made my
Is there a
stomach
year?
turn.
It should make your stomach turn.
It does.
But here's the thing. If you pay attention to history, or if you read anything about the atrocities that
Why don't we
have
learn
gone
from
on
history?
forever. Well,
though?
we have learned a little.
At
but
what point?
We're just
Little.
not. We're better than we were 100 years ago, better than we were 200 years ago. But in the past, it was like really commonplace. I mean, if you read anything about Socrates or anything about Plato, like that time of the world, like men having sex with children and little boys and stuff was like extremely common. Extremely common.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, in parts of the world, men having sex with boys was extremely common for humans. Even in like what we would consider like classical culture, you know, like intelligent civilizations like the ancient Romans, the ancient Greeks. That like was a normal part of life. It's really weird. You know, we want to deny that, but there's undeniable proof that that's a fact. That it was way more common in those ancient cultures than it is today. Like, what is that? Like, how did that happen? Like, why did people allow that? Like, why did that take place?
I don't know. I think there's.
You freaking out over there,
I think
Jamie?
some dads need to step up and beat some ass.
Okay. In 2005, the Cour de Cassation, France's highest criminal court, stipulated that coercion is presumed for children at a very young age, in quotes. That's an outrageously blurry formulation that in practice has largely been applied to children under 6.
What?
This leaves children above 6 years old, 6, potentially considered not raped when violence cannot be established. It also allows the state of paralyzed shock experienced by many victims, and all the more so children, to equal consent. That's terrifying.
Who
That is-
wrote this?
Vikings, barbarians. Those are barbarians. And this is ancient European barbarian law that's in place for thousands of years, and they never caught up. They never refixed it. You got to fix that.
This is crazy.
You have the internet. Fix that. That's
Yep.
crazy. You can have sex with someone under fucking 9 or 6 or whatever the fuck it was. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's
This isn't
repulsive.
This isn't 16-2. This is 2018.
Yeah.
This is not the time for that. It's amazing that this still exists. That's amazing. In a European, civilized, like really exalted culture, like France, people love France.
It's weird that they fight so passionately about some things, but then they have something so stupid.
I think they're just freer in a lot of ways, which is bad and good at the same time. It's bad in that regard of taking care of children. I'm like fucking with children's heads sexually, where you're just dooming them to this life of weirdness.
Wow.
And you're making it legal, so there's no legal recourse. Some guy who got fucked by some old dude when he was 6. That's
Well,
crazy, and that's real.
Luckily, I don't know anyone that
No, I
has,
don't either.
told me about that.
I'm sure it's happening though. If that's the law, how the fuck is that the law? How's that the law? Who
I have
said?
no idea.
Sounds good to me. Write it down.
We started this podcast literally in haunted houses, and now somehow
Yeah.
we've come full circle to
It's the problem
to
with this
this
podcast.
crap.
It's the problem, and also the gift.
it is. It is.
It's both things.
Our guide when Andy and I went to France, he was an awesome
Tell me
French
about that
dude.
story, because that's an amazing story.
It was
You
amazing.
guys went to the French Alps on this unsuccessful bow hunting trip for tar, and just even though it was a fucking awesome.
It was
watch.
success without necessarily a harvest. So
Well, it was a beautiful experience, probably,
yeah,
right?
it was awesome. We actually went there, and I think Killcliff has a little short film on it.
Yeah.
Called I think it's called High Ground. But Andy got into bow hunting because of you. You spurred an interest to shooting a bow, and then actually you texted me one time and said, "Hey, is it cool if I give you a friend of mine's number I want him to learn archery a little bit better?" And so I said, "Yeah, of course." And actually, you and I had met Andy in Vegas, even though we don't totally remember most of it. So I said, "Yeah, of course." And then Andy and I became friends, and then we went to France, and then we went on this epic, hard, high altitude hunt.
I was actually introduced to Andy by my friend Tate Fletcher. Tate Fletcher knows him from the CrossFit world, because Andy was he was in somehow or another responsible for something in the CrossFit, something important in the CrossFit world, some sort of a liaison, something.
I
don't know what
think
he's
Andy
doing.
I think Andy was there. I don't really know because I haven't asked him about that part, but I know that he has background in it. I think he was there kind of towards the beginning of it. I didn't know that's how Tate.
Yeah, that's how I met Andy. I met Andy through Tate. Because
That's crazy.
Tate knew him because Tate's big in the CrossFit world.
I
He
saw
loves that
last
stuff.
week Tate actually was following me on a post that I had made, and I was like, "This is such a small world."
He's a great dude.
It really
You'd
is.
love that guy.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
it really
And
is.
he's one
This
of the.
is-
He's the Caveman Coffee guy. He's one of the owners of
Is he
him and
really?
Keith Jardine. Yeah,
Tate, just so you know,
Lacey Mackey. All those
our
beautiful
four
people
of the
in New Mexico.
our four nitros.
Yeah, that's deadly for a normal sized person. Lucky you're a goddamn giant, or you'd be dead. Or you wouldn't be able to shut the fuck up. If you were like, Duncan Trussell sized, you'd be bouncing off the walls right now.
How big's Duncan?
$150 maybe.
What?
He's about $150, if I had to guess.
Seriously?
Yeah.
He looks bigger than that.
No, he's maybe an inch taller than me. I think he's 5'9", and I think he's more slender.
Wow.
Yeah.
Camera is powerful.
Do you ever look at people and go, how much does that guy weigh? Can I carry him? How far can I carry him?
Did you think that when you saw me?
I said, this fucking dude, if he blacks out, we better have an ambulance that can get up to him. I'm not carrying his big ass
You would if it meant something.
if I had to. It's a real. What's the heaviest load you've ever carried on your back? Like if you've been like packing out an animal. If you had to guess.
Definitely moose.
Jesus. Did you have a whole quarter?
I think I had a quarter and a head.
How much is that?
I don't know. You have to have someone help you get it up there to where you can get weight, get that weight over the top of your legs.
Dude, a moose quarter is fucking heavy.
Yep.
I shot a young moose. It was not a very big moose. It was a forked moose.
Morse.
Yeah, it was a youngin. In British Columbia with
Powerful Ben O'Brien.
yeah, and Mike Hawkridge.
You guys were right where I bear hunt,
Yeah, that's why when I met Ben,
You're
and
in
Mike
Quesnel,
as well. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
which
Yeah.
is right south of where I was.
We had to take a picture of me carrying that quarter on my shoulders, like
Cover a
Ben's idea.
magazine.
Yeah,
Pimp
that
ass
fucking thing
hoe.
was heavy. I didn't have to walk with it though. I just had to carry it. Like, how long did you have to carry a moose shoulder on your back? How
Out
far
of
did you
the
pack
swamp?
it out?
What do you
How
mean?
far? How far did you pack it out?
300-400 yards.
Oh, that's not bad. So, Remy Warren ruined his body carrying a moose out.
I believe it.
I think he said it took several days of going back and forth. There were many, many miles in. And so they go miles in, grab like 100 pounds of moose meat. A moose, by the way, you might have 700 pounds of meat. So even if you bone it out, you have 7 trips. However many people you have 7 individual packages of 100 pounds of meat you got to get out.
Yep.
Through miles and miles and miles of deadfalls and cliffy, rocky fucking. You might get cliffed out. You might take a wrong path.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, CrossFit. What is it? 18.3. How about throw 200 pounds on your back and literally go from one end of your town to the next?
Yeah, when Remy was telling me about it, I was like, that sounds crazy. But like, what incredible mental fortitude this guy had. Incredible mental fortitude that he figured out how to get through all the things and said, fuck that meat. I'll leave it back there. Some coyotes will eat it. Who cares? It's not going to waste. I'm not going back. It's not worth it.
Yep.
But he went back
Oh, yeah.
and over and over again. I want to say it was 3 or 4 days of
Yep.
packing out this moose.
Yeah, I bet.
That's the real Western hunting that people don't understand. They don't understand this. This is not Elmer Fudd with an orange jacket shooting at deer, hates animals. This is not that. This is some crazy physical endeavor that's highly difficult. You need another one? I got
No,
another one,
I've
bro.
got
I got one more,
5
bro.
in a day.
It's
But you know
270
what?
milligrams of caffeine. You've had more than
Honestly,
1,000 milligrams of caffeine.
perfect. I'm on par. That right there is why hunters are willing to argue with people that slam hunting and say that we're just killers. Because if you had to put 800 packs of your ribeye steak on your back and walk it 5 miles home, would you feel more passionate about it?
Well, that would be ridiculous. I would say let's just do 8 trips. Jesus Christ.
But it's true.
800 pounds on your back seems excessive.
But it's true. I mean, if you have you have a moose,
but that's not even
and you-
enough. That's not even enough. I don't think to really complete the cycle. I think you'd have to be there. You either have to be the one who pulls the trigger, or you have to be there when it happens. You have to see what's the difference between a living animal and a dead animal. Because
Yep.
if you don't, then you're formulating your entire picture of the world based on information that you're only getting from a video, right? It's like we were talking about the difference between watching porn and having sex. It's really similar. The difference between understanding this in terms of like watching it on a video and actually being there. Like, oh, this is what it looks like when a cow dies. This is what it looks like when they hang it by its ankles and gut it. This is how I feel about this now. I had one feeling about this before when I was nicely insulated by all
Yep.
I just got a nice white styrofoam little tray with saran wrap and a nice piece of ribeye. Oh, look at that. I'm going to get the fucking briquettes out there and
Yep.
start the grill. Woo! You get all excited. It's not their fault. It's just we're even through our entire developmental process, we're shielded through one of the most important parts of life. Where's your food come from? It should be like one of the number one things you think of. Where's your family? Are they safe? Where's your food come from? Those are question number 1 and question number 2,
Yep.
right?
Well, it's a lot like that with the job too. I mean, we've had people that have come to work for us that are like, okay, this is what working for this business is going to be like. And then they come and then they realize, whoa, this is completely different. Whereas I've been the same. I've worked for companies that I've really, really liked, and I go there and then I realize, holy cow, this is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Versus what it really, really is. So it gets tough. I mean, it's hard to, and that's why you can't really judge anyone, because unless you've been in those shoes, it's not really fair to build an assessment. Easy now.
It's my first.
You're one in.
It's my first, bro. Relax. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with letting someone know they're doing something wrong that's negatively affecting others.
Yep.
That's a good thing. But there's a bigger issue. It's like that when people are like constantly going after other people and attacking in the most vicious way, most likely it's because they're trying to divert attention from how they are, or that it could come back at them, There's like a weird dance that people do with liking and disliking other people. And it's not always healthy. And I've been studying this for the longest time, and I still don't understand it totally. I have my vague assessments of how it all is sort of falling into place, but I don't know totally how it's working. But I know that the people that are the most pleasant to be around are the people that are the most friendly, the most understanding, the most objective, and the most just loving, just nice people, and the friends that we all have that we know that are like that, those are the fun people to be around. You're going to have a good time.
Yep.
Every time I see you, I know I'm going to have a good time. We never have a bad time. We have fun times.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do.
But
well, I think
isn't that a nice thing? Like, how come that can't be replicated everywhere?
I wish it could. I totally wish it could. I feel like people that haven't experienced hardship don't appreciate the good times as much. And I feel like, for me anyway, the fact that I've experienced times where I've really struggled and I've had to either up my game or decide to quit, which, that's your choices. Either you step up and you work hard enough to where you achieve it, and then at that point you really, really appreciate it, which is something that I experienced when you talked to me about kettlebells. I thought, okay, well, I'm not good at this. So either I'm not going to be able to relate to Joe, or I'm going to learn to do it right. And I ended up going down to Austin because I wanted to experience it a little bit more to where I can appreciate, okay, if Joe's doing a windmill with a frickin' Bigfoot, what is this real, like, it looks easy when I watch the YouTube video. But then when I grab a frickin' chimp and do it, and I'm struggling to do it without having my shoulder hit me in the side of the face, and then I'm thinking, okay, Joe's doing this now with a Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's like 92, 90?
I don't know.
Somewhere in the 90s.
Let's just say it's a 90-pound kettlebell.
You got to realize that I started out with the 35-pound one,
Yep.
and I struggled with it, and then but it's also I've been doing flexibility exercises since I was a kid. So the windmill's not as difficult for me as a lot of other people. It was actually pretty easy for me to pick up because my body's used to whipping, like everything's kicking, right? All that kicking and shit. Kicking is a lot of it is with your hips. A lot of it is with your waist and your hips. When you learn how to like really throw power into things, that's where it all comes from. So the windmill, that's like a natural movement of that. Like those muscles were already conditioned and strengthened.
I feel like I'm totally inadequate when I look at you. I do. I mean, I work out every day, but my physique, I feel like a lot of people look at my physique from a distance and they think, oh, that guy is in really good shape. But then, like, I look at you and sometimes your abdomen protrudes a little bit. And then I've been in rooms where Joe takes his shirt off and he's like he's jacked. Don't let him fool you.
I work out.
Yeah, he works out.
I'm not trying to fool people.
Yeah. He has a little bit of an abdomen that goes out further than his pecs. It's
I'm
only,
gonna be honest with you.
I can't even believe you have that skin because
That's as fat as I've been in my life.
Your six pack sticks out further than your pec deck versus, versus my pec deck.
Well, I'm going to show you some of the shit that I do out here. We'll do a little working out here. But one of the things that I've really gotten into is there's like a circuit of a glute ham machine that does your lower back, and then I do these elevated sit-ups, and then I
the
do
decompression machine, or
no. It's like no. That's the third one. That's the reverse hyper. That's the third one. But I do this whole series of things that I'm doing for abs. It's tremendous for abs and back, and all like the sturdiness of your core.
Yeah.
I feel like if I just do these on a regular basis, it makes it just a giant difference in how my body moves and how stable I feel.
I
It's
feel
really
like that's
all
why
about
you're
putting
good
in
with
the work.
archery, is
it
because your
helps.
core's so solid. I think it's a really, really good foundation.
Another foundation is those club bells. I'm really into
Yeah.
those club bells. I do all those shield casts with those clubs. There's something about when you do that, where you're controlling like a 25-pound club. Doesn't seem like a lot of weight, but if you could slowly control that, when you get a bow in your hand and you're trying to level that bow, it's like you have more control of your body. You have better understanding of all the various speeds that your muscles can move at, where you can just slow it down. There it is. And I feel like the more you strengthen those muscles, particularly like stabilizing muscles of the shoulders with like reverse kettlebells, upside down kettlebells where the bottom's up.
Love those.
Those are great because those are even a lightweight. You just do it slow and it's all wiggly
I
and
do
shit.
those big time hammer curls
Oh, they're so good.
to deltoid full military shoulder press.
Phenomenal.
With a vertical kettlebell.
But don't sleep on those windmills too, because it's the same thing. It's all shoulder stability exercise.
And flexibility.
Yeah.
Being able to go to the floor is a big aspect.
It's huge. And it's just, I feel like as long as you don't overdo it, I don't think there's any danger of injuring yourself. I think if you do it correctly, it's actually the opposite. I think it strengthens everything. Strengthens the whole chain from your arms to your shoulders to your core to your hips to your legs. The whole thing gets strengthened because everything has to move.
Yep. I went to On It Academy, I think last summer. Sharon and I were down there for, actually, I think it was September. We were down there for the Hurricane Harvey. We were down there. We raised
that's
some.
when you were feeding people and everything too. Yeah.
Yeah. We raised
That was
some money.
very cool of you. That was very cool.
Part of that was because of the house fire. I mean, obviously, when I was someone who lost everything, so I understand where that comes from. So when I was actually on a hunt with Andy up in Alberta when the hurricane happened, and I was completely disconnected from the news. I got a text from Sharon that just said, "You won't believe what's happening down in Houston." So we ended up coming in, and I looked it up with Wi-Fi while we were in town. And then I showed Andy, and I said, "Man, this is terrible what's happening down in Texas." So he's like, I wish we could do something. I said, "Well, I'm gonna." So I ended up going live and offering to auction off my bow during a live feed. And we ended up raising, thankfully, there were 3 bidders. I don't know if I can announce who they were, but there were 3 bidders that bid about 15 grand. I think it was 20, let me think. It was about $2,200 or 22,000, and then we had one person that offered to match the other 2, so it ended up getting to be 30,000 that we raised. Went down to Houston, and then Crispy, who was doing a lot of really cool things for getting supplies into the Houston area.
Crispy, the hunting boot company?
No, Crispy, that's his Instagram. I don't know.
Oh, it's a dude.
Yeah, he's a guy.
When you said crispy, I thought you meant crispy boots.
No.
Okay.
So we ended up raising a bunch of money, got it down there, went down.
And you fed a lot of people too, man.
Yep.
I watched a lot of those Instagram posts. It was really very, very cool.
Crispy and Archery Country filled a full trailer full of supplies, and Sharon and I flew down to Houston, first we flew to Austin, then we drove to Houston and went down to a church where we did where we ended up feeding a lot of people and then delivering all these supplies that we raised with the money that we got from auctioning off this bow, which I know what it's like to lose everything. So I was pretty adamant about it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was dynamite, super rewarding feeling. I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, listen, man, it's a good story. It's just cool. And I remember watching it online. I'm like, wow, that's badass, you know? And I know how sincere you are about that stuff, too. You know, I think that's a great expression, you know? Great thing to do.
You did the same thing for Vegas. I mean, you're passionate about certain things, and, you know, we've had a lot of doors open for us from different communities. Texas was a big one for me because I worked for an archery company for many years, and Texas was one of my states as a sales rep.
Dude, that's one of the few places I'd live if I didn't live in California. There's a few places I'd live if I was in L.A. I think in Northern California, I think of like San Diego. I like San Diego.
Colorado,
and
Montana.
Then, once I get out of California, then I'm like Colorado, Montana,
Texas.
Texas.
Yep.
Texas is in the mix, baby. Because I like Texans, man. There's a stereotype about the worst Texans, but they're not the best Texans. So you never met the best Texans. The best Texans are like, oh, you're like some cool combination of smart and old school. You know, you're a cool combination of like hip and progressive and tolerant.
Oh, you want a tiger?
And also you have guns.
You want a tiger?
You can get a tiger.
Yeah. Oh,
you remember? Did you see my bit? Remember that bit? You saw that old bit that I used to do about Texas.
it's legit though.
It is legit. Texas has more tigers in captivity than all of the wild of the world. More in Texas. And my joke was like, one dude was like going through the regulations, like, shit, I don't know you get a tiger. Order it up, dude. Order it up. And then his neighbor found out. He goes, Ma, I didn't know you get tigers. His neighbor's got two tigers. And he's like, man, I ain't about to let this faggot out tiger me. And he opened up Tiger World. It's like fucking ridiculous joke that's based on a true fact that there's more tigers in captivity in Texas than anywhere in the world. But Texas, the thing is, Texas of 2018 is not Texas of even 2008, and definitely not Texas of 1990.
No way.
It's better and smarter, and it's a good place to be, man. Texas is a good place to be. It's one of my favorite spots.
It is cool.
I love it there, man. I like the people. There's sort of, it's a weird combination.
It's
like
a
I said,
country.
it's a country.
I think it is.
I think it is too.
It's a completely different. I mean, everything about it's different. Isn't it true?
Well, I was explaining on stage about Buc-ee's. About taking people that have never been to Buc-ee's for
Which
the first
I went
time.
to the first Buc-ee's when I took supplies down to Houston for the hurricane. That was my first time at a Buc-ee's, and I thought, is this a freaking Costco but with fuel?
It doesn't make any sense. The way I describe it on stage, I always say this is like if you were in the middle of a full-on cocaine binge and someone came up to you and said, dude, I want you to make me the ultimate gas station. It's a gas station with hundreds of pumps. Like, you can't believe how many pumps there are. It doesn't make any sense. It's like a goddamn field of pumps. It doesn't make any sense. And then you go into this building, and it is a fucking warehouse filled with pickled alligator dicks and different kinds of jelly beans and Chuck Norris action jeans and camouflage and Yeti coolers and smokers. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's huge. I mean, it's like a fucking goddamn football field sized room filled with jelly beans, different kinds of camo and real tree. There's a Buc-ee's right there. There you can see that's a mild Buc-ee's. That's a Buc-ee's in the boom. That's on the edge of fucking Wyoming or some shit.
Chuck Norris jeans.
There's so many pumps. It doesn't make any sense. Look at that right there. How many pumps is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
10
16, 17,
acres.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27. I
And
think
double
that
it.
might be 100.
And double it.
That
And
might be
double it.
100. Right, and there's 2 on each one. So it literally might be 200 fucking pumps. Well, that's crazy.
Why doesn't Chuck Norris make jeans?
Because
Seriously.
he's too awesome. He used to.
He did?
He used to. I used to own a pair of
Let
them,
me
bro.
see. What?
Bro.
Let's see these.
I'm
Do
not
you
lying.
have any?
No, not anymore. But they used to
I wanna
lace
put
up.
'em on.
They used to lace up in the front.
They did?
Yeah, they laced up in the front and let you do side kicks. There it is. Bam. It has a gusset.
Looks like Chris Irwin.
They had a gusset in the crotch area.
I like that.
The lace up in the fronts, I might be lying. That might be
Why wouldn't he have got a
PKA.
little longer inseam there for that cowboy boot kick?
Well, back in the day, they didn't understand about barbell jeans. They didn't have that type of fabric technology.
I do have a pretty good kick distance. Have you ever seen mine?
I'm sure it's very long.
It is.
We'll make a video later. Go
I
over
can
to the
kick
heavy
the
bag.
top of a doorway. Ooh, look at that in the
Cowboy
dress
boots.
shirt. Son of a
That
biatch.
gentleman right there will always have my respect. Him and Bruce Lee are the reason why I got into martial arts. 100%.
Did I-
Watching Chuck Norris movies when I was a kid? One of my proudest moments of my life was when Chuck Norris knew who I was. I
What?
ran into him at a kickboxing event in New Jersey, like way back in the day, and he gave me this big hug. It was one of his events that he had. He
Oh
had a
my
World Combat
goodness.
League. He gave me a big hug. I was like, holy shit, Chuck Norris knows who I am.
Damn right he
I
did.
couldn't have been happier.
No wonder you're unbreakable, you
I was
little
beaming.
sucker.
I was beaming. And then later, I took a picture of me and Tate again. There was a award show that they did for an old school karate master, and Chuck Norris was there, and a bunch of other old school American black belt karate guys, and they were telling these awesome old school karate stories. And they asked me to be there and speak a little bit, and I'd do anything for Chuck Norris, like no bullshit. Go corny as you want.
Four watches.
Chuck Norris
Vegas.
changed my life for real. If it
Well-
wasn't for Chuck Norris movies, who knows? I might not have ever gotten into martial arts. I watched him in like Lone Wolf McQuaid and shit. And I was like, God damn, that might be the coolest guy that's ever lived.
Did you laugh the other night in Vegas when we were talking about what my wife Sharon's name was supposed to be?
Oh, when we were coming up with fake names for people?
No,
Veronica.
what she was
Oh, yeah.
supposed.
Deborah?
No, well
What?
that was the fake name you
That
gave
was the
her.
fake name.
My wife's name, her dad actually wanted to
that's
name
right.
her Bruce Lee.
Oh, that's right. That was the craziest story of all time. I forgot about that. Dude,
Sharon,
those vape
if
pens
you
that they're
knew,
making are rude.
if you
They're
knew,
rude.
if you knew Sharon, you would laugh at this. But her dad was into nunchucks and all kinds of sorts. And when my wife was born, they didn't know what she was going to be, so they had. He really wanted her name to be Bruce Lee, but if you knew Sharon, you'd know she is far from Bruce Lee. Do we have any more Alpha Brain? We need another
Yeah, we
one.
got some more. Yeah. There you go. I made a deal with my
Thanks for
wife. I said,
throwing it at
I'm
me.
not naming the kids. I'm like, I just have veto power. I mean, it's not fair. It's like
That was a good story, too.
They grew in your body. I'm like, I'm not telling you what to name them. I mean, I will 100% be there, but I'm saying like this. Let's not pretend this is an even proposition. Like you're doing like 99.99999% of the work. Like you just, as long as you don't call them fucking applesauce or something crazy. This is my kid Pixie. You're not gonna torture them with your wacky bullshit, but.
Pixie.
Yeah, I mean, I just gave my suggestions, my feelings, but I was like, "There's no way it's fair for me to name the kid," you know.
Actually,
Although she did have some goofy ass name for dudes that I might have had to put the fucking stamp on. I know how hard it is for guys, like a guy like John or a guy like Joe. Those are good names. They're solid.
Solid.
You can't fuck. Oh, here's your fucking name, John. You're like, what are you talking about?
I had a
You look
CB.
like a fool.
I had a CB in junior high, and I've always loved frogs.
I know you have a frog tattooed on your arm.
Okay. Jamie, Google a pixie frog.
What's a pixie frog? Is it a real thing?
I used to have several. I had pixie frogs.
A name like Jamie's a little controversial, right?
What?
I was gonna say I got
Yeah. Do you get shit for
a
that?
little bit because it's a girl's name is what they was telling me and shit.
Motherfuckers, those motherfuckers.
Who came first?
How
though?
about Kelly? Kelly's like always a back and forth
Who
one
came
too.
first though?
It's Pat was on, so like when I was like a kid, I had, like, to help out.
Saturday
It's
night-
Pat. from
Help out.
Saturday
Damn
Night
you,
Live.
Saturday Night Live, freaking ruining Pat.
Shelley's another one. Shelley used to be a common name for a gentleman. This
What?
is Shelley Finkel. Shelley Finkel used to be one of
know
Mike
about
Tyson's financial managers. Yeah.
Pixie frogs were pretty big.
Shelley. Shit, there's a bunch of Shelleys. A bunch of old Jewish men that were Shelleys.
Sheldon, right? Is probably where it
Sheldon,
came from.
yes, Shelley. Kelly, Shelley. I know a dude named Kelly. Got a fucking tattoo on his neck.
What's
Call him
a-
a bitch. I'll punch you in the face.
So funny, but dick isn't used anymore except for like if someo's being a dick.
Yeah, you're right.
Tons of
What?
dicks back in the day.
You know what? Here's the
Richards?
crazy thing about Dick. Dick was from Richard.
Yeah.
And then
How is
about
that possible?
Jack? Jack's from John.
How is Chuck from Charles?
That doesn't make any sense.
I looked that one up. These are all like, I think the Jack thing is like Irish.
I think they were just learning how to talk.
Yeah, I think that's
These
what it comes
fucking
from.
apes.
My dad's middle name is definitely straight out of the ape age. My dad's middle name is Doy.
Doy. D-O-Y, like Doy.
Exactly.
Like Homer Simpson. No, Homer Simpson.
Where did that come from? Look at that.
Oh my god, a frog.
That might
eating
be
a
out of
mouse.
my tank.
What's happening to this show?
Dude, I used
Jamie's
to have
just
to grow
throwing this in
mice.
there.
No,
It's a
this
pixie
is a
frog.
pixie frog.
I know. But you're just frog, not just a pixie frog, a pixie frog eating a fucking rat with its asshole poking out the camera.
I would have to buy mice to feed my pixie frog because he ate mice.
Dude, look at the size of that. Go back to that one, please. Look at the size of its body with the full mouse in his body. He just expands like a water balloon. That's crazy. That's such a crazy picture.
I always liked frogs, and I thought they were really cool, especially pixie frogs. They were super aggressive. They would eat something up to their size.
Holy shit.
Like you could put a mouse in their cage the same size as them, and they would tackle it
That's
and
crazy.
freaking smoke it.
It's a monster.
I had them. Have
It's a
you never
monster.
seen them?
It's a little tiny monster, right?
So
Look
my
at the mouse!
Yeah.
Look at that. I didn't see the mouse! Oh my god! Oh my god!
We'll go all the way up, Joe.
Oh my god! Take that picture and send it to me. Take a picture of that and send it to me. That might be the greatest picture I've ever seen in my life.
That's a pixie.
Save image.
So my CB
message the
hand-
shit out of me with that. Oh my,
my
god.
CB handle was Pixie, and I didn't know that Pixie wasn't cool until someone else like addressed me on it. But I always
Pixie
thought it
frog is like a trick. It's like the most demonic, ruthless thing. How many animals eat an animal their size?
I don't know. But
not a
that
whole lot.
sucker did.
Not a whole lot.
That sucker did.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, look how big it is!
Mine was the size of a dinner plate.
Unless that kid is a pixie himself.
No.
What we're looking at is
Joe,
a young man.
My
He looks
frog
like
was this big.
that little
This
fella looks
this
like
is-
he's about 7 years old.
this
Oh, that's
is-
an African bullfrog.
That's what it is. It's
Oh, that's what it
It's
is?
a pixie.
A pixie.
Oh my God.
Salafist,
This is how big my frog was.
We're holding, John Dudley's holding a typical ice tray that you would get in a hotel room.
I would call it an ice
Those
bucket.
ice buckets, rather.
What was that rabbit?
Oh my god, look at the size of that rabbit.
Might be a small girl.
No, it's a big rabbit. I can tell by its feet.
Go to
Doesn't look right. It
Go
looks
to
like
Pixie
gigantism.
Frogs. Look at them all. Oh yeah.
There's another one eating a rat.
Yep.
Dude, they're monsters.
I had a lot of videos of mine just smoking mice.
That's crazy to think that it could literally eat something at the same time.
They were so
there was
cool.
a fucking python they found in Florida in the Everglades that ate a deer 110% the
think I
weight of its
saw that.
body.
I
And
think
they're
I saw
like,
that.
what have you assholes done? You fucking Leonard Skinner loving, muscle car driving dipshits keeping pythons in a fucking terrarium in your bedroom with Motley Crue posters on the wall, and you do acid and decide to let that thing go in your yard. Now they're eating deer that are 111 pounds. They're fucking huge, man. Look at that thing! Jesus Christ! Oh my God! It's so big. This thing is so big. This guy's holding on to it. Is that a biologist that's got it?
What does he
this-
have? The head?
He's holding on to the mouth and the head, controlling
yeah.
the body, and inside of it is this enormous lump that is apparently a deer that's bigger than its whole body in terms of its body weight. Do you ever see the one where one died because it was trying to eat an alligator? You ever see that one?
I think so. but let me
Dude,
see
this
it
is
again.
how gangster pythons are. They
are
fuck with
gangster.
alligators.
Anything that can unlock its jaw is pretty gangster.
Dude, they fuck with alligators. They look at an alligator and they go, I'm going to just try to eat you.
I actually went to a comedy skit at Riviera. Remember we were talking about that?
Look at this thing, dude. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh,
but,
God.
But go to the upper left corner. You get the best example. This is what happened. It died because the alligator blew out the side of its asshole when it tried to eat this thing. I mean, this literally happened. It literally swallowed up this fucking whole alligator face first, and the alligator backed its way out of its asshole, and they both died in the Everglades. But this fucking snake is so big, it's trying to eat an alligator that's bigger than it.
Yeah, it doesn't care.
These crazy fucks have let these things loose in the United States of America.
It's simple math. that comic that we saw at Riviera, I saw in the late '90s, which I think you were there at that time.
Yeah,
which
we were talking about
which
that.
is kind of crazy. But he
What's
actually
going on here, Jamie?
Oh,
Cutting a
God.
person out of a snake.
Oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
God.
Good times. Good times.
Cutting a person
Where is
out
this?
of a
India?
snake.
Is this someplace that John Dudley fucking
Indonesia.
narrowly
Is
escaped
that
death?
on my train?
Yeah, Indonesia.
Is that on my train with dead people?
Boop, boop. Oh my God! It is a fucking person coming out of a snake. Woo! This is what you need to learn, folks. Just because you watch nature doesn't mean you know nature. Just like if you watch porn, you're not getting laid. It's the same thing. If you take anything from this podcast, take that. Nature is like where you go.
Yep.
Where you go. Where we're talking about BC, and you go bear hunting. Tell the people how crazy it is up there. You're in the forest filled with monsters.
Oh yeah. Well, they don't watch the news. It's all about
They can't.
can I eat you?
Yeah.
Well, pretty much like this. My mouth is this big, you're this big, I think you can fit in it.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it gets. That comic at Riviera that time.
Who was it?
I don't know. I wish I knew because it was actually it was a really good bit. He said
Do you remember a bit?
Yeah, he pretty much talked about the fact that he's so sick of people getting complaining about how fat they get, because he said, literally, it's simple math, people. Your mouth is this big, your butthole's this big. At some point, there's a bottleneck. And he just said,
It's funny.
he said between your mouth and your asshole.
It wasn't Dom Herrera, was it?
I don't know. It
That's
was so
funny.
long ago. I mean, it was 20 years ago at most.
That sounds like something Dom Herrera would
yeah,
say.
he just said, listen, it's simple math.
that's
Your
fucking-
mouth is this big. Your
Yeah.
butthole's this big.
Yeah.
Why are you complaining about being fat?
Well, that's the real concept behind that 16-hour fasting. Eddie Bravo brought
Shrink
me to
your mouth?
16. I was doing 14 for a while, but Eddie said that it's 16 is really where all the benefits happen. So
What?
all right, I'll give it a try. So I tried 16, and I see it. There's definitely something to it. There's more alertness. I process food better. I think giving your body a smaller window to process food is really wise. I think it also aids you because it gives you discipline. Even just a little discipline. It's just a baby amount of discipline, but it's
No,
enough.
it's a lot.
It's not. It's not really.
To me and you, it's not, but to some people, that is.
Right.
Seriously.
But it's all relative. But I'm just being honest with them. If they need to get past that. It's not really a lot. But the benefits of it, like how you feel when you finally have your first meal, when you cross over the line, like you feel better and your body works better and you have more energy. That's a fact. I have
think
more
you
energy.
absorb it faster. Mm-hmm. You and I both are big fasters. I fast. I normally eat maybe about 7 o'clock at night, and then I normally eat again about 10 or so in the morning. So I mean, it's quite a bit of time. And when I eat, I legitimately feel like I can feel my body absorbing everything that I'm consuming.
Right. Like it's processed everything else. That's
Yep.
how it's supposed to be. I mean, that's really what fat is all about, right? Fat is all about you just keep stockpiling, even though your body hasn't processed it. It's like, I don't know where to put it over here. And your body's like stacking up fat all over your body instead of utilizing it for fuel. You're
Yep.
just not burning off enough calories.
Yep.
That's what this whole fasting thing sort of normalizes for me, at least. It just gives you this opportunity where your body says, let's just digest everything we got here. Let's just do this. And then when this dude wakes up in the morning, we're going to be burning fats. This is the way to go. And then you feel good. You have more energy. Your body's using ketones, especially if you're like someone like myself that I'm not eating a lot of bread. If I eat bread once every 2 or 3 weeks, it's a big deal. If I eat pasta once every 2 or 3 weeks, it's a big deal.
Do you feel like dog shit when you do?
No, but I don't go crazy. If I don't go crazy, I don't feel bad. But if I do go crazy, if I eat like a big piece of chocolate cake and some ice cream, I feel it way more now. More now.
Yeah. I think you're more in tune. If you're conscious about it, I think you have a better understanding of what it actually does to you. That's the problem with people that are in the lifestyle of doing it every single day, is they don't really realize what it's doing to them.
I think there's that, but I think there's also obviously a tolerance that you develop. Just like people develop a tolerance for alcohol, people develop a tolerance for weed. People definitely, I think, develop a tolerance for sugar. And when I don't have it, then I feel the full brunt of sugar. And it's like, I remember I took my family to get cheeseburgers and milkshakes, and I had a big ass fucking vanilla milkshake, and it was so good. Oh my God. I was drinking this big ass, like 20-ounce vanilla milkshake, and I was eating this cheeseburger, and I hit the wall so hard after it was over. I had to sit down. Like, I'm like, what kind of bitch am I that I get taken out? I get like hamstring by a cheeseburger and a milkshake. But it was just clearly that I had been eating clean for so long, my body had no idea what to do with that giant dump of sugar. Like, how much sugar do you think is in 20 ounces or 18 ounces? I don't know how much. It was like one of those, you know, those Sunday drink things they give you where it's a big ass fucking glass filled with ice cream milkshake.
Today I was in the airport in Des Moines, and I got a coffee. And
100 grams. Oh my God. 20-ounce chocolate shake nutrition information.
how many
100.
how many tablespoons is that?
100.
How
Dude,
many
you know-
tablespoons is 100
Oh
grams?
my God, that's so crazy.
I was in Des Moines Airport this morning. I got a coffee, and a guy behind me got a coffee. He was like, I think he was a baggage handler for one of the airlines. I literally came up, and I poured nothing but half and half in my coffee. I actually feel like I thrive off fat now.
Right.
Because that's what my body wants. He unscrewed the top
of
off.
a jar of meth.
No, yeah, pretty much. He unscrewed the top off the sugar, and he started. I was actually like, God, dude, can you do that again so I can video this? He unscrewed the top off the sugar and started pouring it in his coffee, and he poured, and I was like, oh my God, is that a lot? And then he kept going and kept going and kept going, and then he tipped the thing down, put the top back on the sugar, and then poured in freaking creamer. And I was sitting there like, dude, that's
rich.
It's literally like 2 or 3 times what you're saying. And the problem is, this guy that was half my size needed that to feel like he could get the day going.
Or
That's
just-
a big
hated
problem.
his job so bad, he just wanted to go into a diabetic coma in the middle of the work floor. He's just like, look, fuck this insulin. I'm just eating about a half a pound of sugar. Let's do this, okay? Look,
I love it.
just got myself wet. What's that? No, it's okay. It's just my pants.
It's just this
Nothing.
barbell jeans.
Nothing. My barbell jeans are wet. Look, embarrassment. Listen, this is for your own good, ladies and gentlemen. It's for comedy.
It is.
We're okay though. No computer. No.
How many
laptop.
tablespoons of sugar is in 100 grams?
That's a good
of
question.
sugar?
When I think of 100 grams, I'm thinking like a baseball of sugar. That's what I think.
It's
I think
a
like
lot.
A major league baseball of sugar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that legit? Can I see like a physical representation of 100 grams of sugar?
1 tablespoon equals 12 grams.
Oh my God. That's 8.
8.5.
8.5.
8.5 tablespoons. That's so crazy. What does that look like? It's not quite a baseball, but
It's a
definitely
baseball.
It's bigger
It's
than
a
a golf
baseball.
ball.
Huh? 8.5?
8.5 is bigger than a golf ball. I'm just being conservative. How many golf balls? 1,
Kiwi?
2, 3. I bet it's 2 golf balls.
Jamie.
Whoa. That's a lot. That's a goddamn
If
volcano.
you snorted that, you'd be on cloud 9.
For like
Look at that
38
quarter.
seconds.
Look at that quarter.
That's
Just to get
crazy.
proportion.
That's crazy.
Holy nuggets.
That's all
Are
in a
you
fucking
serious?
milkshake. No wonder why I hit
It's
the wall.
2 cups,
No,
Joe.
that's comparison. There's 100 grams right here. I think it's comparing. All
Oh,
these
100 grams.
This is just a
Okay,
picture
2
of something
cups.
else.
Oh,
So
there's
it's
2
a
cups.
so it's
But
1
Jesus,
cup. It's
look
1
at,
cup.
But look at the
right?
size of the 100 grams. That's nuts. That's so much sugar, and that's what's in a milkshake? I got to go to the doctor. This happened years ago, but I still have to go to the doctor today because of it. Let's wrap this up. I got to
What?
pee again. It's already 4 o'clock. Let's shoot some arrows.
We
Ladies and
gotta
gentlemen,
shoot.
if you're interested in high-level archery instruction and information, Nock On Podcast. You can go to iTunes. You get it on Google Play. Is it on Google Play? Must be.
Stitcher?
Stitcher.
Whatever.
Nock On TV on Instagram. right?
KnockonArchery.com. It's the best place.
What's the Instagram though?
Nock On TV.
Nock On TV Instagram, Nock On TV Twitter as well.
I don't know. I don't tweet much.
He doesn't tweet
It's
much.
there, but yeah, he doesn't tweet.
Just check him out on Instagram. We're done, ladies and gentlemen. We did about a fucking 15-hour podcast. How long was that? 4 hours? That's enough. You've heard enough. We love you.
Bladders made
Do you
of
love these
steel.
people? Love these people, John Dudley? Tell
All bicep.
them. Tell these people you love them.
I love you, freaks.
Bye.